One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Good Monday morning, everybody. So we got an early special presentation. This isn't the show. The show starts at 1 o'clock and then again at 7 p.m. tonight. This is a special presentation as President Trump will be hosting a press conference all about the decreasing crime and the beautification of Washington, D.C. And I don't have any evidence to back it up, but I personally think there's more to this story than meets the eye. I think we're going to find out some things as things go on that are a little bit beyond what we've been seeing lately. We shall see. I mean, President obviously wants to clean up Washington, D.C. A lot of stuff is happening down there. Crime is, despite everything that's being said, is up and is bad for the people who live there. Don't listen to the people in studios, the people who are writing articles. They're not having to live it. People who are living it understand what's going on there. President Trump was up early this morning, and I mean, well, not early for him, but he began posting about this matter early. This matter and other matters. So let's catch up with what he was doing. His first post out the box at 7:36 this morning, he put Jasmine Crockett and AOC in his crosshairs. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is a low, very low IQ individual, much in the mold of the AOC plus 3 gang of country-destroying morons. Only slightly dumber. Each of these political hacks should be forced to take a cognitive exam, much like the one I recently took while getting my physical at our great Washington, D.C. military hospital. As the doctor said, President Trump aced it, something that's rarely seen. These radical left lunatics would all fail this test in a spectacular show of stupidity and incompetence. Take the test. Oh, he's coming out swinging out the box this morning. All right, so you got that out the way. Let's go ahead and see what he talked about business. His very next post was at 8:05 a.m. Liberation Day in D.C. We are taking our capital back. That's a definitive statement, but he wasn't done. Then he came back, I think like 10 minutes later, 3 minutes later. Oh, he talked about tariffs. Tariffs are making our country strong and rich. And then he followed up with this one at 8:11. So he had a rapid fire amount of truth posts that went out. Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthless killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border. 0 newcomers in the last 3 months. D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. I think the ones that say President DJT are the ones he actually puts out himself. I'm sure he's got assistants that post, but I've noticed a trend here that when he actually is posting, I think he puts DJT on it so you guys know it's him. But in any event, this is a piece that went on Fox News early this morning.
President Trump will be holding a news conference addressing his crackdown on crime in D.C. and his plan to clean the place up and make our capital beautiful again.
The White House says their efforts are in line with an executive order the president signed in March to make D.C. safer. He says in part on Truth Social, the homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the Capitol. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. President Trump has mobilized agents from several federal agencies for at least 7 days to fight violent crime. These include the ATF, DEA, and U.S. Park Police. The Washington Post reports the FBI is also reassigning more than 100 agents to overnight shifts to help local police, and a decision to call up the National Guard could come later on today. D.C.'s mayor says the city's crime rate is down 20%, though, compared to last year, and she's concerned that the Guard may not be used efficiently, but she acknowledges the president has the power to deploy them.
While it is always the president's prerogative to use federal law enforcement or the National Guard even, I've talked on your show before that the D.C. National Guard is the president's National Guard. Right. So that's always his prerogative. And federal law enforcement is always on the street in D.C. and we always work cooperatively with them.
Did you notice anything about how Fox News framed that? That's why, even sometimes with Fox News, you can't believe what they show. They don't show you the entirety of what was said in that MSNBC piece, only the part they wanted you to see. Now, I don't think there was anything nefarious, but they left out the big nugget. And I talked to you guys last night about it, and I showed you exactly what she said. And how the Mutt and Jeff Light and the Loafers duo that they have on there tried to bait her into a race grievance argument. Listen to what they actually said during that show.
One of the things that we have seen over and over from the president, from his team, Stephen Miller saying it's like Baghdad in Ethiopia. They seem to hold their harshest criticism sometimes for cities that are majority black and brown. Do you
see? They wanted to frame this as a racial issue. They immediately, hey, he's doing something. He's going to be doing this against the black and brown people, as if no white people live in Washington, D.C. There's a few of them. But Fox left this out. For some reason, Fox didn't show the race baiting that MSNBC tried to portray. And they also didn't show how Muriel Bowser didn't take the bait. He want no parts of this race-based stuff.
Then what do you think that means?
I think that I have been dealing kind of with this issue for a number of years. It's kind of easy fodder on the campaign trail. But now we're talking about governing, and my job is to focus on making sure our city is running well, and people enjoy a great quality of life. And I think we're doing a really good job. We do need the federal government's help, as I mentioned, because they have an outsized influence on our criminal justice system. We need.
This is a feed from this morning. I don't know about you, but when I see this stuff, I can actually see who the people are that are living in the park, who the homeless are, what they're doing. We can actually see them. And so there's no discussion about it being a black, brown, Hispanic, white issue. It is a problem with Washington, D.C. It is not racial, but they keep trying to make it that way.
We need more prosecutors. We need more judges. There are other ways to help. Even we want to rebuild our jail, and there are ways that the feds can help with that. But also just doing their part, cutting the grass, fixing the fountains, making sure that federal law enforcement is doing all of the policing that they can do. And I just have to say thank you to MPS, FBI, ATF, who've always worked cooperatively with us, and we expect that they will again.
I pointed this out last night. If you guys, I think it was last night. If you guys saw us on Sunday night, notice how she thanked all the three-letter agencies. All the three-letter agencies. Hey, FBI, blah 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 blah. They're helping me. And then I showed you President Trump's Truth Social post where he said she's a very good person. So as I mentioned yesterday, I am going to be looking when they come out and get ready to do the press conference, if Muriel Bowser is standing up on the podium with President Trump showing her support. That will be a very, very good indicator, something for you guys to look for too. He's going to, and by the way, this press conference is going to be in the actual press room. So he's going to have an audience of 100 people or so, and they're going to be asking him questions. Hopefully they stay on point and start talking about Epstein or something. Probably they won't want to talk about what they're actually going to see. But as he's standing at the podium, I'm wondering who's going to be up there with him. And one of the questions I want to hear is, what's the National Guard going to do? Why are you calling out the National Guard? Where are they going to be posted? What kind of powers do they have? How long is this going to last? These are the kind of things I'd like to hear as they discuss this.
The president says his announcement this morning, though, like you said, Brian, will not only be about crime, it will also be about making the nation's capital more beautiful, saying the city is only getting dirtier and less attractive. Lawrence Ainsley and Brian.
Hey, Maddie, the one thing I would say is, do you notice both leaders, different parties, but they're very respectful for each other. It's kind of rare. The mayor was respectful to the president. Here the crime stats are down, but I'll take his help. And the president said, he's a great person, but I got to.
That's not by accident. That was a message that they said, we are going to come out with a uniform front. You know why they came out with a uniform front? I've got one of my other feeds ready. It starts in like half an hour. But they're having a protest outside of the press conference. The people of Nuttery, of complete Nutville, are having a protest because President Trump wants to clean up Washington, D.C. How in the hell do you protest against reducing crime and cleaning up homelessness? But nonetheless, the libnuts are going to be out in full force protesting that effort. And so I think he understood, and he probably made her understand, we've got to come out with a unified front here and understand we can't have any room, no space between us. The people of Washington, D.C. and the crazies in the media have to understand we are doing this together. So don't mess up. Understand what you got to do. So I'd be very surprised if she's not there today, because she's probably going to have to take some questions, because the questions are going to be, hey, Mayor Bowser, are you okay with this? You down with all that? And she's going to have to smile and go, yes, anything we can do to help the city, I'm all for. And I'm sure somebody will ask her, but yeah, are you giving up any power? Have they just come in and taken over? I don't know how she's going to tap dance that one. But I'm going to show you the protest when it begins, because that should be kind of interesting. Now, they're getting ready to fire up the cameras. The room is filling up, but let's continue real quick.
Insert myself.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing the D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser's tone over the weekend talking about this federal resources, local police. They've been very cooperative on this issue. But how could you not, who doesn't want to make D.C. safer at this point? Yeah.
So true.
Well, you're about to see. I'm going to show you the protest when the feed comes up of them protesting outside, protesting the reduction of crime and protesting the removal of the homeless and cleaning it up. People are actually, I can't even imagine the mindset of somebody's like, okay, we're going to have a protest today because President Trump wants to clean up Washington, D.C., he wants to stop crime, and he wants to clear out these vagrants from all over the place. Oh, we can't have that. What? You are actually going to protest this? Yeah, it's just fine the way it is. He's making up this chaos. There's no problem. We don't need the military presence in Washington, D.C. Except for the people who live there, like, yeah, because if you're carrying a sign and you're at this protest and you don't have a Washington address, shut the F up and move. I don't need you to come siege Washington and walk around in a sign saying we don't need it if you don't live there. Otherwise, you're just a paid libnut just trying to muck things up, doing anything. I bet you we'll even see some free Palestine stuff out there today. I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with Washington, D.C.? But you have to be a very special kind of stupid to be protesting what's about to happen.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Maddie.
All right, thank you, Maddie.
This is the issue of our time. It's not just D.C., it's all these liberal cities all across the country, and this just happens to be the capital. And
That is the problem. That, what he just said, is the actual problem and why these people are probably freaking out. Because if he does it in Washington, and the knuckleheads in Baltimore and Detroit and St. Louis and Chicago and Los Angeles, they're seeing this. Wait a second. So if he just comes up and rolls in the tanks or the Humvees in D.C., is he going to do it in other blue inner cities? And my thought to that is, I hope so. I hope he goes in and cleans up Baltimore. I loved Baltimore. I lived in Baltimore. The Inner Harbor is fantastically gorgeous, but now you can't go there. Roaming gangs, entire areas of the city that you just don't want to be in. So yes, we need, if the mayors can't do it, if they're resistant, if the pastors are all okay with this complete dereliction of duty, then yeah, the president needs to go in and clean it up.
bangers have been getting away with it. The teens are carjacking all over the place. I know they want to say that the numbers are down, but if you talk to people that are there, they don't feel that way.
Well, she said the numbers are down 35%, or I think she said 2 years ago they were down 35%, and they've gone down again over the last year. But if you look at the statistics for the teenagers, for the juveniles, that's the problem, and they're staying out so late. So good for them for implementing this curfew. And
why are juveniles out late committing havoc? Where are their parents? I know back when I was growing up, when I was a, quote, juvenile, I better have my butt at home by the time mom told me to be there, or there was hell to pay. And I was a single parent. Yeah, dad wasn't there. They got divorced when I was 11 or so. Yeah, about that. But at the same token, I still had to be my butt back in the house at a certain time. How have these parents abdicated their duties? It's your job to make sure little Jerome is sitting his butt at home. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but nonetheless.
the president addressing the homeless problem with those pictures. It looks so disgusting to have all the trash on the street and all the tent encampments.
Well, I'd tell you, I was at Union Station 2 weeks ago, just on just my eye, anecdotally.
Which is their subway,
much
where
better.
the subway comes in, right?
The subway, where the Amtrak comes in. So I think it looks better already, but they said 121 more FBI agents. But Lawrence, what do you do with teenagers? So 16, 17, you can't charge them as adult, yet they're beating up guys like Big Balls.
You change the statute.
You know, and with the shooting Redskin running backs.
You change the statute and you still charge them as adults. If they're part of this, or you put them in the program where they can't leave the juvenile detention facility. But right now...
See, there's one other answer which I think we may hear today. See, that is going the, what would be the word? The legal route in terms of civil law. Now, I don't know. I am not at all trying to pretend I'm an attorney, but I'm wondering if there's some sort of limited martial law. Do these knuckleheads get the same kind of leeway? If he comes in and says, you know, we've federalized this city, and here's what we're going to do, and guess what? If you get caught doing something, you don't get the revolving door. You go to sub Camp Gitmo, something in Washington, and you're going to sit your butt there until we figure out what to do. I don't know. But I'm thinking there's a reason why he's bringing all this military force. There's enough cops to get it done. You don't need the National Guard. You don't need the FBI. You don't need all these other services. There's a whole bunch of police in Washington, D.C. and Capitol Police. So the fact that he's, quote, federalizing everything tells me there may be something on the penal side that he's going to be able to do to keep these nuts off the street. Listen for that, because I'm sure that'll be a question that comes up. All right, all the feeds are up. Let me get through this.
DAs that essentially not doing their job. So what they plan on doing is the feds charging us. That way the U.S. attorney can handle it, Janine Pirro.
Yeah, I like that Muriel Bowser did say it's his prerogative. If the president wants to use federal law enforcement, he can. But she did mention over the weekend in lots of different interviews that crime is down. She said specifically it's decreased 26% over the past year. But clearly there's still a problem. You have that congressional intern that was shot. He was accidentally in the line of fire. Someone was trying to hijack his car or take a lady's car, and he intervened to protect her, and he ends up, that's the other guy.
He got beat up senseless by a group of teens.
Yeah. So they definitely need to clean it up. I don't understand why these leaders don't want to work together. Look, I would say that trial is going to take place today.
Right.
The one out in California where he's suing Donald Trump.
No.
He doesn't want the National Guard.
And the only thing I'd add is, too, he's going to talk about the physical renovation and condition of the Capitol. He's going to make sure these federal buildings are coming in on schedule and not being, gouged like we see so many times. And he says he wants to make the place look good again. Now he's doing it with the White House. Now he's doing it with the Capitol.
So in just a few hours, President Trump will outline his plan to stop crime in our nation's capital as grieving families.
All right, so Ashley and Steve just called me, SV. My mic wasn't on again. I'm doing so many different things. Sometimes, I'm sorry, I don't realize it when I'm moving things very quickly. However, what was going on, what you were seeing President Trump inside the press conference room, the aides were handing out some sort of documentation. I don't know what was on those documents. I was hoping Ashley or somebody could see if Monica or somebody. I'm on. It's on. Stop calling me. It's on. Testing. I can see that levels are on. Anyway, they're getting ready to start this thing. They're handing out some sort of documentation, and on the documentation, it has something to do with this press conference. So that's very interesting. Also, what I was saying, just remember, this isn't Caroline Leavitt speaking at this press briefing. This is actually going to be Donald Trump speaking at the press briefing. So, and the other thing I noticed was that this thing is full. I haven't seen the press room this full since we've been covering press conferences. So that's what I was saying when the mic was off. Let's go back here. I won't turn it off anymore, so if you hear me grunting in the background, that's how it's going to be.
Enough is enough.
The crime needs to go away. These gangs need to go. And people will just keep getting assaulted and murdered. And this is our nation's capital. It should be the safest in the country. My son was a good boy, and he didn't deserve this. And nobody does. No innocent victim deserves.
So when you hear the people in the media say, they're seemingly attacking brown and black people, and crime is down 35%, they're not talking to these people. They're not talking to these people whose relatives, sons, daughters have been killed, carjacked. It's like some sort of fog that we're in, that the media doesn't tell the truth anymore. Why is it bad to just tell the truth? I had posted a video earlier with on X of Drew Barrymore talking to Bill Maher. And in the interview, she was talking to him. She goes, it's dangerous to tell the truth. I'm like, how the hell is it dangerous to tell the truth? What does it hurt people's feelings because it's a war zone? Doesn't make any sense.
What we're going through, and there's a lot of us out there.
So our next guest says the president is making the right move. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett joins us now. So Greg, obviously, I believe that the president should do this with all the crime there. But what does the law say? Make it clear for our audience.
Well, the law says the president can do what he's planning to do. The D.C. attorney...
That's kind of a weak answer. The answer is weak because we don't know what he's going to do. I wish you had expounded, Greg Jarrett is a legal analyst, to say, here's what he can do. Here's what the law allows President Trump to do. Then we can see where he goes with it. But just saying he's going to do because he can doesn't tell us where he can go, the limits of what he can do, and, how Muriel Bowser is going to be affected.
General, the local prosecutor, essentially dismisses all of these carjackings with guns as, kids are kids, as if it's okay. It's not okay. When minors act as adults by committing serious violent crimes, they should be treated as adults. But currently under D.C. law, and that's not happening. It's rare that a 16 or 17-year-old gets charged as an adult and the case gets pleaded down to a misdemeanor. The D.C. City Council could change all this. They won't do it. They're soft on crime. So Trump is right to step in. He is allowed to deploy federal law enforcement assets and order the U.S. attorney to assume many of the prosecutions. D.C. understanding.
All right. So thank you, Greg. He can have Judge Jeanine be the prosecutor at this point and not go through the D.C. district prosecutors. It's to no more of this stuff. So that's probably why they're going to be screaming, because he's taking that power away from Muriel Bowser and whoever she's got in her state's attorney's office or district attorney's office. It's going to be Judge Jeanine, which means it's going to have to be a different place of incarceration as well. Because now they're federalizing it, so it's probably going to they're going to lose it. They are going to go crazy if he says this today, that I'm actually federalizing the city. Because right now we don't know what. As of like a couple days ago, the people coming in at very different, FBI and stuff were there to assist. So today it sounds like what Greg is saying. He is going to move the assistance out the way. We are going to take control. Big difference. Huge difference. Libtards are going to go ballistic if that's exactly what he says, because this will be a business model for the other inner cities across the country. You've lost control. It's a matter of national security. Maybe that's what we'll hear today. And then because of that, boom, I'm taking control. Wow.
Basically a ward of the federal government that gives the president ample authority to do it. And in fact, Congress passed a law, the Home Rule Act. He can seize control, if he wants, of the police department on an emergency basis. He would need permission of Congress for a more sustained takeover of the local government. But for now, he is simply flooding the zone.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? Flooding the zone? Seems like somebody else told you about flooding the zone for the last week or two. That's exactly what he's doing. Remember, the entirety of the Senate, the entirety of the House, they're gone. There's nobody there in Washington. And so now he's been doing all this stuff almost like on a daily basis, and he's not giving these people any air. They can't even understand all the ways they're getting hit right now. So while they're off over here, he's going to go ahead and federalize Washington, D.C. while they're gone. They can't even come in. Understand it. This might have been a brilliant move. They can't even come in and file any amendments. They can't, put any bills up. Nothing. Remember, they're on recess. And so there's nothing that Congress or the Senate can do right now to stop him. So he's got until whatever it is, September, whatever day they come back. They can't even, there's nothing they can do. It's absolutely genius. And some of us were wondering, including yours truly, was like, is John Thune, is he just going to let John Thune just, leave? He's going to let, the Senate leave, and Mike Johnson's just going to let the House leave? Oh my God, he needs all these people to be confirmed. And I told you, he got the ones confirmed that he needed. He got Judge Jeanine confirmed. He got a couple of these judges confirmed. That's what he wanted. Everybody, including me at one point, was like, why is John Thune letting these people leave? Well, he got the ones he wanted. Democrats walked right into another giant trap. And so now, while they're gone, and they can't even come back, understand, they can't come back. They can do a press conference in Schenectady or something, or somebody can go give a press conference here or there, but you can't do it in the Senate floor. It's closed. You're done. No business. You can't come into Congress and do the rotunda. Nope, it's closed. So right now, he controls everything happening in Washington, D.C. So if that was the plan, it's an absolute genius one. And so we shall see very shortly exactly what's going to be going on. As you can see, people are beginning to assemble. What they're doing right now is when you say you're doing your network hits. They're doing their hits and the cameras are at them and stuff. I don't know what they're doing. Some guy's trying to talk and they're laughing.
Okay, no pressure.
All right, so what they're doing, this guy with the microphone, whatever network he's with, he's getting ready to do what's called a live hit. And when they do that live hit, he's talking about, I'm here today in the press conference room, and President Trump's about it, and everybody else is sitting there just watching him, and they've done it before too, and they're laughing at him. It's inside thing type stuff. But you're seeing a little bit how the sausage is made, and when you see Peter Doocy and some of these people talking, that's what they're doing. They stand up and they take their time, and the cameraman focuses right on them, and they're able to do their hit. All right, so I'm going to leave this window up so we can see when he walks up. And in the interim, let's go ahead and take some comments. Monday morning business time. It is. Schumer's head is exploding. I have to believe it was calculated. He didn't wake up one morning and say, you know what, I'm going to send the federales into Washington, D.C. Nope, this had to have been a plan. They had to know through Pete Hegseth, how many people can we get in, who can we deploy, where are they coming from, where are we going to hold the perpetrators once we arrest them. All that had to be planned weeks in advance. It had to be planned way before they went on recess. And that's the part that you guys have to digest at this point, is as you're watching this, understand it wasn't by accident. It just didn't happen, Tuesday. This had to have been planned out for quite some time. It probably involved Judge Jeanine. It probably involved Pam Bondi. It obviously involved the Department of Defense, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. They all said, okay, what are you going to be doing? What are you going to be doing? You want to check off the box that you're going to be doing something. And they put it all together and said, okay, then the next thing you ask is, what's the timing of this? When are we going to launch it? Let's launch it when they're gone. Then they can't bitch about it. So every aspect of what you're seeing isn't just off the cuff. This is a long time being planned. Stephen Miller, everybody had to have been in this room. And when they put it together, they knew exactly every aspect of how it was going to be received and what they were going to do. I just trust Trump and his cabinet. Absolutely. Exactly. Not spur of the moment. And that's one of the things, this isn't like we were bombed by some outside force or something, but definitely calculated. All right. Ashley got her hands on what they sent to the press. Let me see if it shows up here. If it's big enough. Oh, I got some breaking news for you, too. This is very interesting. A lot of you guys will not like it, but it is what it is. Obama Judge Paul Engelmeyer has just denied the Department of Justice request to unseal the grand jury materials in Ghislaine Maxwell's case. Knew it was coming. They talked a big game, but they didn't want that out. No, please don't talk about that. All right, so here's what, there's a number of different posts, and I got to keep watching screens here so I don't miss him walking out, and I'm not going to turn off my microphone because it'll go off and I'll forget to put it back on, blah, blah, blah. All right, I want to get this chat off the screen so you guys can see this chart. All right, thanks, Ashley. The 2024 murder rate, and in the red, these are different cities around the world. And those cities around the world are In red is Washington, D.C. Then it goes Bogota, Mexico City, Islamabad, Lima, Ottawa, Paris. Don't know what that one is. Delhi, London, and Madrid. So he's put out a chart comparing the murder rate of last year in accordance with some of the worst cities in the country. Islamabad, we got more murders than Bogota, the cocaine cowboy capital. And Washington, D.C. has more. How are you going to argue with that? How can you possibly argue with that? Let me see this one here. Here's another one. A different style. Okay, you got Washington at the top, Bogota, Mexico City, Islamabad, Lima, Ottawa, Havana, Cuba, Paris, Delhi. You can't see the other ones. London and Madrid. It's 27 murders per 100 people in the city of Washington, D.C. How do you argue with that? How do you have any problem with what he's doing in terms of being able to secure this city? So he's handing this stuff out. Thank you, Ashley, for getting a hold of that and letting me be able to show it to everybody. President is going in hot, lock, and load. Judge denies. Yep, we just talked about the Epsteiniacs are going to go crazy. Let's see here. What else we got? Trump's plan is well thought out and strategically planned out. And I think a big part of that plan was indeed to make sure that Muriel Bowser went along. So we're 11 minutes late. He still hasn't come out yet. We're waiting for him to come out. So we'll continue taking... oh, pretty much, yeah. Think about it. 24 out of 100, pretty much 25%. Yeah. But crime is down. Okay. Yeah, tell the 24 people per 100 that crime is down. Yeah. Donna, hello. The scum on the streets don't care what the stats are saying. They're probably celebrating. Let me see if they've pulled up the feed on the nuts yet. No, nothing on the nuts. They haven't started their games yet. But as soon as they start, I'll break a screen so I can show you that as well. Penny Young, yes, it is indeed or should be taken as proof for martial law. He has it all. Game over. On X, President Trump, where'd that go? Thanks for the hard work. Yeah, thank you guys. On X, President Trump is telling all governors that voting will be done on paper ballots, require voter ID, and only one-day voting. He's going to have an uphill battle, but yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Simply Rose did the math. It was 100,000 people, 24 murders per 100,000 people. Yep, got it. 27 per 100,000. Got it. Not 24%. That's bad math. Nope. Faustina, it wasn't 26%. It's 24 out of 100,000 people. Let me show that again so people can see that. You can see it at the very top there, per 100,000, 27.54 murders per every 100,000. So wasn't 25%. That would be if there was per every 100 people. So let's continue while we're waiting for that to come out. What do you think the nefarious news will use as a fake narrative of the week? Oh, that's easy. Racism. That's all they've got. Racism. How do you talk to residents of... put it this way. If it was your city, if it was where you lived, and this kind of insanity was going on over and over and over, and people were getting killed, and that's just people getting killed. Understand, that was the murder rate. Doesn't account for those who were assaulted, women had stuff done to them, carjackings, beatings, robberies, burglaries. That's just the murder rate. Let that sink in. That's bad enough, but hey, what about all this other stuff that's happening in there? How stores can't keep up because of the shoplifting. That's got to go away. So yes, it's gonna. DC is a poop hole right now. Oh, gosh, let's see here. You're right, Deborah. One is too many. And the problem with it is, this is over a long period of time. If you were going to stop the menacing that's happening in Washington, D.C. and some of these other inner cities, you would stop it. At this point, every single one of us who's ever been around a big city knows it's dangerous. And it just seems like the cops are being told to stand down. They're not given full ability to do what they need to do. Something's wrong. Something is really wrong in the inner cities. Every single one of us, wherever you go, you know, hey, listen, don't go down that road. Hey, don't go there. So if you know there are certain areas in your area that you can't go at night because you're afraid something might happen, then of course the civic leaders know. Hey man, if I were you, I'd stay away from XYZ Street. Don't go down there at night. Well, if you know it, why don't you do something about it? I don't know if many of you guys know, but the show Cops, and I've said this a long time ago, the show Cops originated down here in Broward and Dade County, Florida. And the sheriff, I believe his name was Navarro at that time, decided he was going to do something about it. I'm going to stop the crime, especially like in Fort Lauderdale. And he went in and he did a whole different things, as you saw in the show. Just round them up. We're going to stop it. The only way to stop it is to enforce the law. And he went into all these areas and he did traffic calming and he did, satellite police stations, all kinds of things, put cops on horses, and it stopped. And it was great for us because we were buying houses and these houses were in areas that nobody wanted to live in. And as soon as he stopped the crime, we were able to go in and renovate houses and do things with them. That's how I first got my start in some of these areas. I would go into the proverbial war zone as he was cleaning it up because, again, skating to where the puck's going to be, I'm like, you know what, in a year or so, this is going to be an area, it's close to the beach, it's downtown, that people are going to want to live here. The only thing I didn't count on was that it was going to be a huge area for the gays. It was so close to where the gay part of town was that they were taking these houses. Yeah, do it. Let's fix this up. And they went in, there's an entire area. There's a town here called Wilton Manors. And Wilton Manors, as it grew, the gay population spilled out into areas surrounding it. And so the northwest part of town was very, very, very inexpensive because it was crime-ridden. And as the police started cleaning it up, those of us who had some foresight and said, we can buy these houses for like $40,000 and $50,000. We're buying them for less than land value. And the guys I was working with were like, you realize what we're doing here? I'm like, yeah, we're buying houses for less than the dirt. And so we'd go in and fix these houses up, and it took a lot of renovation, new kitchens, new roofs, new air conditionings, new landscaping, everything. But by the time we were done, the areas started getting cleaned up. And so these houses were now, instead of being $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000 homes in blighted communities, were now really, really affordable and appealing to the gay market. And so all of a sudden, these houses that we bought for $40,000 and $50,000, we're selling for $150,000 and $200,000. And we're like, dude, we got a business plan here. Let's buy as many of these houses as we possibly can. Buy them sight unseen. If it came on the market, buy it. If you send out an email or letters to these people, go knock on doors. Hey, you want this? You want us to buy this house? If you saw the landlord come over and he's mowing the grass, hey, I'll give you a check today. It was a free-for-all. It was a gold rush. And that's what would happen in many of these same cities. If you decided as a civic leader that you wanted to get in and you wanted to really clean up your neighborhood, you want to talk about an economic boon. And so exactly what happened when that began, you heard about it in New York. They started and they created a dirty word about it. And that dirty word was gentrification. Like, What the hell is gentrification? Well, you're displacing the black people and you're bringing in white people. No, we're displacing the hoodlums and we're bringing in people. Well, that got loud. We're displacing the hoodlums and bringing in the people who want to pay, who are capable of paying, who want to beautify an area. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in this audience asked President Trump, isn't this just gentrification? Look for that word. Listen for the word gentrification. There are so many people who do things like I do, who look at these blighted areas and go, man, this would be a home run if the city would just clean it up. If the city would just go in and stop the crime and get the clocking and get all this stuff off the street so that people feel comfortable living here, man, we'd make a gold mine. It would literally be a gold mine. And you can do that in pockets of these inner city crappy areas around the country. And so if that's what's getting ready to happen in Washington, D.C., there's a lot of people drooling right now. Like, whoa, is this going to get really cleaned up? You guys, I don't know if they'll even talk about that. But you can track it yourself. You go on Zillow and see what houses in that area are being sold for now. And you see what happens in the next 3 weeks if this thing happens the way we think it's going to happen. What's that area? Area down here in Fort Lauderdale was called Sistrunk. And the Sistrunk area, you don't want to get caught down there at night. And the pastors kept fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. Oh, you're hurting my parishioners. They live here. They're not living. They're prisoners. Finally, they went in and cleaned up Sistrunk, and now you've got towers. You've got big skyscrapers going up in what was literally 5 years ago a war zone. That's how fast things can turn around. And so these things don't take overnight. They take some time to develop. And so just wherever you are right now, think of whatever inner city is near you, and just think to yourself, if you start seeing people talk about, let's clean it up, let's get in here and get rid of the crime, the drugs. If we get rid of this, what's going to happen? And then be ready to pounce. Especially, I don't think this is by accident. See, the fact that we know interest rates are about to decline substantially, and the inner cities are literal gold mines waiting to be waiting to be mined. I know what I'm doing. I know that I'm looking at some of these areas and saying, as soon as they start cleaning, as soon as DeSantis sends it in, and because here's what's going to happen. Once this happens in Washington, they will have the model and they will begin federalizing other areas. And then you're going to have red states where they're going to work with the government. See, DeSantis won't have any problem saying, Trump, you want to go into this area and clean it up? Have at it. Do what you need to do. Then I won't have to deal with all of the backlash from the pastors and everybody else. I keep saying pastors because pastors are some of the worst. They run their flocks and they drive around in their Escalades, and they own a lot of the houses there, and they don't care what goes on because they accumulated all this property. I'm not making that up. I'm not trying to denigrate some of these pastors, but that's who they are. So I think what we're going to see is just a rebirth. Let's see here. Chicago next. The broken windows theory. Broken windows and overgrown lawns. Absolutely. The domino effect. Yeah, exactly. I live 20 minutes from New Haven, Connecticut. Not a place to go at night. And so there's no way that the police department and the city commission, they don't know what you just said. So you have to ask them, well, if I know I can't go there, why in the hell aren't you doing something about it? There's no reason, none, for there to be any blight in these cities. Being poor doesn't mean you have to be dirty. Stevie Wonder sang a song about that a long time ago. You can still be clean. You can still have some sort of, even if you don't own it, have pride of where you live. And I'll go back to say that's a product of destroying the family. Think about it. If you did something in the house and mom or dad didn't like it, popped upside the head. Hey, what are you doing? Get your feet off my furniture. You heard that as a kid. Yeah. What is this? Clean this up. These kids don't know this anymore. Their houses look like, excuse my word, shit. And I mean literally shit. I have walked into homes that I have purchased, and I've seen feces on the wall, and people live in there. I've seen clogged up toilets. I'm like, how do you live here? You haven't been taught anything. And so, let me just check the feed. 10:25, President Trump has still not walked out. Everybody's sitting around. That's the line, yeah. Wow, I love when I say something you guys always know. Her clothes are old, but never are they dirty. And I think the name of the song was Living in the City. And it was a Stevie Wonder song from way back in the 70s. Her clothes are old, but they are never dirty. And I remember that line my entire life. I'm like, man, that is such a compelling line. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you have to be a slob. Now, I'm a slob. Robin will tell you I'm a slob, but it's a different kind of slobbery. I'm more clutter than slob, put it that way. But to her, it's the same thing, slob. Is Barry forgetting the mute button, or is my phone stupid? No, I'm on. I did it earlier. My dad showed us his belt, and we paid attention. That was a good one. It worked too, didn't it? Yeah. Get your act together. All right. So everyone's still in the press conference room. He hasn't come out. Why would they? This is a great question. Why would they need to be taught to not live with feces on the walls? How would you know not to touch a hot stove? You have to get burned. Mom's going to say, don't put your hand up there. See that red light? That means it's hot. Don't put your hand. Ow! And you realize, don't touch hot stuff. You learned it very quickly. Man, that hurt. Ow. So if you just do what you want, you live like an animal, and no one's telling you not to live like an animal, you're an animal. And I can say that, and I'm not being racist. I'm talking about your environment. If no one's teaching you that this is wrong, then you don't know that it's wrong. Think about it. Almost everything in your life that you said, I can't do this, I can't do that, is because someone told you there's consequences to pay and it shouldn't do it. Every single one of you, without any question, are completely monitored, and you've had to live your life with a light sequence. You see, no one tells us we can't go forward. We just see a red light, those of us who drive, and that red light from the time we're 15 or 16 until the time you're no longer able to drive controls your progress. You were told when that's red, you don't go. When it's yellow, yeah. When it's green, you get to go. Well, why is that? Because if you don't, you're going to get smushed. And then you've seen people smushed and like, I don't want that. The same thing with the arms that come down on the train tracks. Hey, you shouldn't be going forward right now. If you go forward, something might come and obliterate you. You learn these things. And so why would they need to be taught not to live with feces on the walls? I don't know. The upbringing? No parental control? They never grew out of being an infant, and so they can do whatever they want and don't care? Which is why you go through the street and shoot somebody? Why you go through the street and think, I'm going to take this person's car? Why you go in the street and go, you know what? She looks good. I think I'm just going to have my way. Because no one has told you it's wrong. And you haven't faced any repercussions for it. Pow. Okay, I did him. Wow. Oh, look at her. Yeah, I'm taking that. and there's no repercussions. And so until you find out that you're going to jail for life for meeting Sparky, then you don't realize it. And because nobody's enforcing it in these cities. But like many of you have said, if you're in, you know where the city is. Why isn't it safe? So when Trump says stuff about make America great again, well, remember back then, there weren't no-go areas. I mean, there were some bad people, but even the bad people had some sort of, line they wouldn't cross. Let's see. My mom used a wooden spoon on me and my brother, but Dad used his belt across our backsides. Yeah, you can't do that anymore. Can't do that anymore. A human you cannot reason with is as good as an animal. Think about it. Some of these videos you have seen. And you see somebody, many of you have been in fights when you've been in high school or maybe as an adult. And to think that you're beating somebody and then 10 other people come up and kick that person in the head. I'm like, what kind of mentality is that? What is that mentality where everybody's taking a shot? Where's the mentality where you go into a store and throw all the stuff off the shelves? And it's always the videos I see are my kind of people. You know how they always say, I want to be like people who look like me. Not them. Nah. They never talk about that. They don't even show that on the news. It's like it never happens. Hey, I'm watching people stomp people in the head. These people are stomping them in the head, and you're not even talking about it. They're bloodying people. They're almost killing them. Let's not talk about it. Honestly, most of what you're saying is common sense. They shouldn't need to be taught that shit doesn't belong on the walls. See, your parents did a good job. Your parents did the right thing. What happens if your parents weren't around? What if first of all, no dad in the house? So let's just remove him. Brian. So your dad's not here. He's not around. So the only person who can show you right from wrong is either your mom or your grandparents. That's it. Grandparents, if they don't live with you, they're not going to be much of a help. So mom's the only person there. And mom's saying, shut up, sit down, do your homework, go clean your room, wash the dishes, take out the garbage, walk the dog. That's what normal parents do. What if your mom never said those things to you? What if your mom never taught you what's right and what's wrong? I met a woman I was selling a house to once, and I had to tell her, I could work with you, but this dude, your son, can't live here. He's a drug dealer. And I thought that was going to shock her. And she said to me, but he makes good money. Until you talk to people like that, you don't realize how bad these people are. And I'm like, what? What did you just say? He makes good money. And it makes you blink. It makes you take a step back and go, your son is selling drugs. He's out on the street doing this, but he helps me out. What do you say to somebody like that? What do you say to somebody who knows their kids are dealing drugs, is okay with it, because he throws her a couple bucks here and there? That's the common sense that you were brought up in. Some of these people don't have it. Never had it. I'm hungry, I'm going to go eat. Where are you going to get the food? I don't care, steal it. Oh. Stuff that you think and I think, some of these people don't think that way. Yep, I was raised by a single mom and was disciplined. My house might be lived in, but it's clear enough for a guest to come over and feel comfortable. Yeah, exactly. What do we got here? My dad had a belt designed for butt whoopings. We knew that belt well. Exactly. My dad was never the disciplinarian. My mom was the disciplinarian. That was the one I was worried about. She's like, I'm going to have to tell your mom. Oh, damn. Can't we just settle this, man? Like, man to man, can't we just deal with this? No, I got to tell your mom. Oh, boy. Even when they were divorced, he's like, oh, your mom's not going to be happy. And that meant hell to pay. There's stuff coming. All right, so President Trump has not come out as of yet. let's see where we are with things. We're waiting. We are waiting. While we're waiting, let me tell you and get this in. I hope he doesn't walk out in the middle of it. But I'm gonna talk to you about the Patriot Addict new knife that they have, and this new knife is pretty cool. You guys would, if you want to, go ahead and click the QR code. But before, I used to show you guys the red knife. This was the Trump red knife. Right now, we're going with the Trump signature knife, and that's this one. It comes in this black pack here, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty much the same knife, but it says 4547 on it. Many of you have purchased it and you like it. Well, I shouldn't say purchased it, have received it. You know why they've received it and not purchased it? And here's the signature with the stencil on it right there. And it also has the window breaker, and it also has a seatbelt cutter, and it's extremely sharp. And it has the fast open action and all that to it. And the reason why you didn't purchase this knife is because it's not for sale. But those of you watching this video here in the Fanfare family, you can get that knife for free. All you have to do is pay shipping. Shipping, I believe, is like 10, 12, 13 bucks, something really nominal. The knife itself retails for $70, so you're getting a great deal. It's coming free, and all you've got to do is pay shipping. Just go right here to the QR code, and they're saying it's worth 69 plus. I'm told it's worth 70 plus. Either way, you get it for free. Just pay the cost of shipping. Just go here, click on the QR code, and you get the knife shipped pretty quickly. People are getting their products very quickly. They're loving it. Some of you guys in the chat are probably already talking about it. So just go there and grab your knife. Thank you, Patriot Addict, for bringing something specifically to the Fanfare family. All right, I'm going to take a break because I've been going for an hour straight. I didn't know he was going to be 36 minutes late. So let me tell you about gold and silver. Those of you guys who've been watching my show for quite some time, you know that I am a firm believer in gold and silver. And, you know, these are things that I'm trying to teach the grandkids about. Robin and I personally are getting involved in it. And that's an ounce of silver. And I believe this is a 1/10 of an ounce of gold. This is so affordable. And with everything you're hearing about with AI, you're going to want to get into some silver. I mean, if you can. Not telling anybody, if you can't afford it, don't do it. But if you can afford it, silver might be a good deal for you. All right, while we're waiting, let me talk to you about Lear Capital.
It's genius. It's pure genius. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it.
Why do so many financial experts call silver the most undervalued asset today? Because silver is essential to the future, from solar tech and electric vehicles to the explosive growth of artificial intelligence. Demand is rising fast, and yet silver is still trading at a bargain. With billions pouring into AI, silver prices have only one place to go, and that's up. In fact, silver may be the most overlooked asset class in financial planning. The opportunity for silver is well documented. The market for silver could double or even triple by 2026. You see, I believe in hard assets like this bar of silver. You can hold it in your hand, you can put it in your IRA, you can put it in your home safe, and relative to gold, it's very affordable. That's why I urge you to call my friends at Lear Capital and get their free report, The AI Revolution, and see why silver prices could be set to soar. Call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. But don't wait. We all know. We've seen it. The government can print lots and lots of dollars, but they can't print silver.
Up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom.
Mario Bowser is not up
that's
there.
Happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes through our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. D.C., 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication. There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down. And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know, I lost a very good person a while ago, was shot waiting for his wife. He was in the car. They robbed his car. They shot him. They killed him like it was nothing to it. She was walking to the car. It's a horror show. This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America, really. It's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of the DOJ staff was savagely beaten by a band of roving thugs after defending a young woman from an attempted carjacking. He was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead with a broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't believe it. In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House. We all knew him. Great person. Waiting for his wife as she was walking to the car. A Democrat congressman was also carjacked at gunpoint not far from the Capitol. And in 2023, an aide to Senator Rand Paul was stabbed in the chest and head by a demented lunatic as he walked down the street, just absolutely for no reason. Horrifically, last July 4th weekend, a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head and killed while sitting in a car near the Capitol. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live. Caravans of mass youth rampage through city streets at all times of the day. There are ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well. Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews. Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against law. See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night. And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, they love to spit in the face of the police. As the police are standing up there in uniform, they're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face. And then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years, for 3-4 years. I've watched them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any search. So and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face, and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want. This dire public safety crisis stems directly from the abject failures of the city's local leadership. The radical left city council adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central, no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out. We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody. We're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote because the Democrats are weak on crime, totally weak on crime. They don't know why. They want to stop because they get mugged too. But we're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things. And we'll count on the Republicans in Congress and Senate to vote. We have the majority, so we'll vote. We don't have a big majority, but we've gotten everything, including the great, big, beautiful bill, got that done, and that's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to people in this country. They're starting to figure it out, how good it is. Biggest tax cut in history, so many things. But we'll be able to get that done, so Todd, if you and Pam can draw up things working with the people, I'll get it passed. We'll get it passed with the Republicans. Probably won't get, think of this, probably won't get one Democrat vote because they have no idea what they're doing. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody transgender. And they just got walloped in an election, in a landslide, and they haven't changed one thing. I saw the other day the certain gentleman who was a very well-known politician, Democrat, was fighting like hell that men should be allowed to play in women's sport. They just don't get it. They said it's an 80-20 issue, and I think it's a 97-3 issue, and I don't know who the three are. I've never heard nobody's ever come up to me, sir, you have to let men play in women's sports. You have to do it, sir. Nobody's ever approached me. I don't know where this issue even comes from. Never seen anything like it. But they turned our nation's capital into a sanctuary jurisdiction. That's the other thing. We have to get rid of sanctuary cities as quickly as possible. We're going to do it, too. We have to. Because it's sanctuary for criminals. Releasing illegal alien gang members onto the streets in 2022, nearly 70% of criminals arrested in Washington went unprosecuted. That's not going to happen with the group we have standing aside and standing behind me. And at the Metropolitan Police Department, it's now reached a small number relatively compared to what it was, but it's thousands of people. You know, we have thousands of police. I was told today, sir, they want more police. I heard a number, 3,500 police. That's a lot of police. 3,500. I thought they were going to say, we only have 30 policemen or women. He said, we have 3,500. We need more. You don't need more. That's so many. I never heard. That's like an army. How could you need more than 3,000? It just happened 2 minutes ago. Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500? This is not a big area. It's ridiculous. What you need is rules and regulations, and you need the right people to implement them. And we have the right people here, that I can tell you. Look at the border. Biden said there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who are great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border czar. And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months. No, really. I fixed it the first week, but really fixed it over the last couple of months. And I mean, literally to a point where, as I said, 0 illegals entering our country in the last 90 days. Pretty amazing. It's time for dramatic action. We're going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be a very safe city very soon. We're not looking to take years, because a lot of people die in years. And we've got incredible people in this country, except we have to allow them to do their job. And that we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy. You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent. Last week, my administration surged 500 federal agents into the district, including from the FBI, ATF, DEA, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. You know, a lot of nations, they don't have anything like that. They got some police, and they're rough police. They don't have DEA, ATF, FBI, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. They got some police, but they're rough police, and they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not going to have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that. Today, we're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about safety, but we're also talking about beautification. We have the most beautiful, potentially, capital in the world. We always had. But people come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get mugged. Not going to happen. Keep coming, because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top. No, we don't have to rip the road out and spend 7 years building a new road because they cut everything. Because some designers said, well, we need a 1/4 of an inch more turn for safety reasons. No, we're going to do it right. We're going to get it done quickly. So today we're declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him, most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people are the ones that want to help you. This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. We will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the street. You're going to have a lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed. By the way, we're going to have National Guard, but Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, "Oh, that's so terrible." He's going to bring in. It's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people that are in the police department with proper leadership. They'll immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street, maybe get them out of the country, because a lot of them came into our country illegally. They shouldn't have been allowed in. They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out. They won't be here long. But some of these people, a lot of them, are homegrown criminals. And these are bad people. These are rough people. And this is just a list of some of the people that were given to me today that were criminals removed from the D.C. streets this weekend. They were rough and tough, but we're rougher and tougher. Look at these people here. Nothing, you know. They're not going to be your local school teacher. Look at this guy. He has killed people numerous times. They're not going to be an asset. They will never be an asset to society. I don't care. I know we all want to say, oh, they're going to be rehabbed. It's not going to be rehabbed. I'm going to ask Doug Burgum to come up and say a couple of words because he's in charge, as you know. He's Interior, but he's in charge of the U.S. Park Police. And I've heard so many great things about the Park Police. They're proud of it. They've been there for a long time. Their families oftentimes grow into the roles. They love the country. They love this area. So, Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the U.S. Park Police, this is the oldest federal police force in the nation. They were formed in 1791 by none other than President George Washington. They've got the awesome responsibility of protecting our nation's most sacred monuments. The National Mall, Washington Monument, Jefferson Memorial, Lincoln Memorial, Statue of Liberty, and out west, the Presidio and the Golden Gate area. These folks have tens of millions of visitors a year, the kind of people that President Trump's talking about that come from around the country and around the world to see our sacred and learn about our history and our sacred monuments. They've been doing a fantastic job, but they are so pleased, the rank and file, that President Trump is now allowing them to enforce the law. As those of you that live in the city may know, that the circles and the triangle parks that are spread throughout D.C. are actually federal park property. So the U.S. Park Police also have responsibility for that. These became littered with homeless camps under the Biden administration. All of you saw that. Since President Trump's executive order on March 27th, making D.C. safe and beautiful again, the U.S. Park Police have removed over 70 homeless camps. And President Trump also talked about beautification. They're stopping and enforcing the laws against graffiti on our monuments. They've removed over 80 specific attacks against our history with graffiti on our monuments. So they continue to do a great job, whether it's in their vehicles, on foot, or on the mounted police that you see around the National Mall. And President Trump, they thank you. The rank and file is so happy to be enforcing the law again. Thank you for your leadership, and they're excited about the announcement you're making today.
Thank you. Very good. Great job you're doing. Thank you very much. Pete, could you say something about the military, if you would?
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the D.C. National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the D.C. Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own, and we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing, working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked. We will work alongside all D.C. police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful, and as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong, we're right behind you. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm going to ask Pam, because she's now, as you heard me say, she's really in charge of a lot of what we're talking about. She's done an incredible job. People are going to start to see the fruits of her labor. And Pam, maybe you could say a few words about what we're talking about here.
Sure, President. Let me be crystal clear. Crime in D.C. is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. D.C. should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the President said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Gadi Serralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command and control, the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in D.C. is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge, and she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. And working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together. We fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make D.C. beautiful. We're going to make D.C. safe again. One other thing, just at the wharf a few days ago, the area of the wharf, Terry Cole reached out to me, not even nightfall, on the weekend, where so many families and tourists go. A guy's overdosing from fentanyl on a park bench. In the middle of families around, they administer Narcan and saved his life. No more of that. The President of the United States is going to clean up D.C., and we're going to be there to help him, and we're going to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Cash, talk about Northern Virginia, if you will. Northern Virginia, we had a big success.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your leadership, Deputy Attorney General, and the rest of our interagency partners. Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops, and I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi, your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? What we did in Northern Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops, let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions, and that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons, 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Good job. Thank you, Cash. So the process begins right now. It actually started over the weekend, and we confronted a lot of very bad people. But it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right. We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, we got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Some of those people, we don't know how they even got there. Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. We're getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in the effort, a really big effort, the 800 D.C. National Guardsmen that we'll put on, and much more if necessary, much more. You remember I said, I offered 10,000 once. Remember I said to a certain person, a person who I thought always was highly overrated, not very competent, but I said, if you need them, we'll give you 10,000 of the military or the National Guard, they turned me down. But if necessary, we're going to move service members directly to joining the Guardsmen, and that'll take place very rapidly, and that'll be done in conjunction with Pam and with Pete and everybody else. Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world, and we're going to make it that. We're going to make it safe. We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful, so beautiful. Some of the buildings, we're going to add to it. You see what we've done at the White House. White House is a whole different building. I do that in my part-time because it's a natural instinct as a real estate person. I was very good at that, and I was very good at fixing things up. I like fixing things up. You see what's happening. The marble floors are being reinstalled, renovated, fixed. The whole place is becoming very beautiful. We're going to be adding a magnificent ballroom, most beautiful ballroom, I think, anywhere. We need it. I would have certainly loved to have had it today. I think we would have filled it up. A lot of you are standing outside, can't get in this room. I have never seen the room like this, which tells me that you want to talk about, I mean, this was a D.C. news conference. It tells me that you want to talk about crime in D.C. and beautification of D.C., but I'm going to put that's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy, too. A person who I've known for a long time, and she's been incredible. She was a fantastic, one of the best ever district attorneys in New York. She was in Westchester, and she became a judge, very successful judge. And then she went into showbiz because she was such a good DA and such a good judge, tough judge, but fair, always fair. Nobody ever complained about that, but she was tough. And because of that and her reputation, she went into showbiz. So a lot of people don't, they think of Janine as showbiz. Actually, showbiz was not her thing. And she did great. She was on, along with a couple of other of my friends, on the #1 show. And she did great. But this is what she loves doing. This is really her baby. What she's going to do is going to be incredible. And I'd like to speak for just a few seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. We have some open spots, and we're going to take people, because the judges are letting killers out. They just say, go, that's okay, don't worry about it. So we're putting some, Pam recommended, Todd recommended, some judges that are great. Janine recommended. Janine's given me 3 great candidates already. We have about 10 open spots, and we can probably create some more. We need them. Janine, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital. We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great. And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the D.C. Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens, and it starts today. But it's not going to end today, because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the State Attorney General, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids, because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you. If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the people know what we signed. Do you want to put them down?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed 2 crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long, and I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you. So, just to conclude, Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, most beautiful places anywhere in the world. It was years ago. We had one problem that was a pretty big problem. The radical left got out of control and they started trying to rip down statues. And I said, let's go pass a law real fast. We're going to do it real fast, but we were blocked by the Democrats who do not want safety. Nobody gets it. I don't get it. They don't get it because they can't get votes. I don't know how they can win an election with this, but they don't want safety. And I found an old statute, very old, early 1900s, that said if you so much as touch or even think about destroying a statue or a monument in Washington, D.C., you go to jail for 10 years with no probation, no anything. In other words, slightly different than we have today. Today we have cashless bail. There you get jailed 10 years. No curtailed sentence, 10 years. And we took it out. Nobody used it. It was never used because, it was harsh. And you remember they started to rip down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. I said, that's a tough one to rip down. He was pretty good, Pam. I think he was pretty good. When the ropes started going around Abraham Lincoln to pull him down, Andrew Jackson, others, and they were heading to the Jefferson Memorial, Thomas Jefferson. They're going to do a big number there. I said, it's time. And I signed that statute immediately. We had it updated. We made it use the same language, all passed by Congress. And I announced it's 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything, 10 years, no curtail sentence if you touch, so much as touch a statue in Washington, D.C. And it was an amazing sight, beautiful sight. Everybody just left. The ropes were hanging around Andrew Jackson, and there were 2 ropes around Abraham Lincoln. They left the rope, but everybody just left. And that was the last problem we ever had. That was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild, and somebody came to me and said, sir, in 1910, I don't want to give you an exact because you'll say, Donald Trump gave us wrong dates around like early on. If I'm slightly off, they make you sound a little bad. So I won't put myself in that position. I won't put you in that position because I think everybody agrees with what we're doing today. But when I signed that thing, it was like a miracle. Everybody left. They were gone. They were starting to march down. They started the march toward Thomas Jefferson. And I figured he was always going to be safe. But they found something with him, and they found something with Abraham Lincoln. And even in the name George Washington in California, numerous places changed the name of George Washington High School and various other places. They took George Washington's name. This was a sick, woke culture that I think we've largely ended. And a lot of those people that were woke are now turning out to be the opposite. I won't go so far as to say MAGA. It's a very special category. But they've gotten out of that. But we have people that love this country, and they love this really beautiful capital. It is. I flew over it the other day, and I said, what a beautiful place. But if there's crime all over the streets, when you get there, it doesn't look so beautiful. But we're going to make it beautiful again. We're going to fix it with crime, and we're going to also, as we're doing that, we're going to start doing things that we know how to do, that I know how to do better than anybody, I guess, because of my experience from previous life. But not only are we stopping the crime, we're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels and all of the things they've done to hurt this city. And we're going to restore the city back to the gleaming capital that everybody wants it to be. It's going to be something very special. All of these people are really tough. Could I shake your hand, Gaddy, please? You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay? If you're soft, weak, and pathetic, like so many people, I will fire you so fast. You're not going to have to worry about that. No, I think you're going to do a fantastic job. And everybody in this room, they may not express it, but they all want that to happen. You know, they want to be safe, and they have families too. So it's an honor to have such a large group. I've done this for years now, hard to believe. I've never seen this room so packed. In fact, I'm sure it's a violation of every fire code. But we'll let you stay anyway. You're taking a chance. And with that, we'll say, maybe if you could, oh, wow. We could be here all day long. If we could keep the first questions, perhaps, to this subject, and then we'll go on to a few others. Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you talk about how personal of an issue this is? You talked about flying over the Washington Monument and seeing the pride of what D.C. is, and do you believe that the status of the city, the cleanliness, the way that crime is low, is a direct reflection on how the country is run?
Yeah, I do. I think the Capitol, look, everyone comes here. They're all coming. All the leaders, they're all wanting to come. And I say it, I've said it again, but I'm really just quoting other leaders from NATO, from the Middle East, King of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I was over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion of investment into our country. But a month and a half ago, I was at NATO. We had a great thing. They agreed to put up 5% instead of 2%. 2% they didn't pay, 5% is already paid. We had a great meeting, and they all said the same thing. They said our country was dead. They thought our country was gone. 1 year ago, they said your country was dead. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country in the world right now. The tariffs have helped. It's given us not only the money, it's billions, trillions of dollars of money, but it gives us great power over enemies. We solved 5 wars with Pakistan and India. We just solved one. Azerbaijan and, as you know, and Armenia. A war was raging for 37 years. And the 2 leaders got up and they said, we never thought this would be solved. Russia tried to solve it. They all tried to solve it. It was a very tough situation, but we got it done. And I said to the 2 men, I said, are you guys friends? And they had a hard time. They've been killing each other for 37 years, right? One was there 5 years, one was there for 22 years. He said, my whole life I've been fighting this war, and you got it solved. But we did many of those. We did in the Congo and Rwanda. That's been going on for 30 years. 8 to 9 million people killed that they know of, but it was raging, and we got that solved. We got a lot of them done. It's a great honor. But you want to have when they come, the leaders come to our country to sign documents that the war is over or whatever, or for other reasons. They come for trade. And you want them to come through so beautifully. You ride down those roads, everything should be perfect. You shouldn't have medians falling down into the roadway. Median, you know, the metal things that are always. Somebody had a great lobbyist, because I've never seen them look good. I've been looking at those things with the little, right? They're always broken and bad, but here they're really bad. And we're going to either put new or fix it, and it's not expensive. It's not really expensive. And we're going to fix our roads a little bit. We're going to clean up our sidewalks. You have countries where every Saturday the people go out and they wash their sidewalks in front of their stores or their houses. They scrub their sidewalks. So we aren't quite at that level yet, I don't think, Gaddy. We're not quite there yet, but maybe we will. They go out and they scrub. I think it's so beautiful to hear that and to see those stories. But we're going to make it clean. But just to finish with your question, it's a very, very strong reflection of our country. And when they see a bad city, you know, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart, and he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in, because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question, actually.
Mr. President, sorry. Question for you on the specific issue. Do you expect more cities to follow DC's path if this goes through? So the idea is that Chicago, LA, San Francisco, would they expect similar action what we've seen in DC? And the other question, sir, there is reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that if marijuana is okay, some drugs are okay, but we're trying to clean up crime? How do they go hand in hand?
We're only looking at that. That's early, but you know, somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject, the subject of marijuana. I've heard great things having to do with medical, and I've had bad things having to do with just about everything else. But medical and, for pain and various things, I've heard some pretty good things. But for other things, I've heard some pretty bad things. The other part of your question, I mean, we're just going to see what happens with it all. We're going to have a tremendous success in what we're doing. Other cities are hopefully watching this. They're all watching, just like everyone's watching here. They're all watching, and maybe they'll clean up, and maybe they'll do this and get rid of the cashless bail thing and all of the things that caused the problem. I mean, if you go back, this whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. So many problems came that we never had before. So they're watching us today, and if they don't learn their lesson, if they haven't studied us properly, because we're going to be very successful. I have zero doubt about that. It's going to be. It's a question of will it be really fast, like the border. You know, everyone said, they used to say, Biden used to say, I need legislation. I didn't get any legislation. I called up our people, and we did a great job. Tom Homan was great. As you know, our secretary did a great job. They did a great job. There's no games. They didn't play games. And we're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You know, you never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy, thrown out of the family business. But when I look at Chicago and I look at L.A., if we didn't go to L.A. 3 months ago, L.A. would be burning like the part that didn't burn. If he would have allowed the water to come down, which I told them about in my first term. I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully L.A. is watching. That mayor also. The city's burning. They lost like 25,000 homes. I went there the day after the fire. You were there. And I saw people standing in front of a burned down home. It was, their homes were incinerated. They weren't like, even the steel was literally, it was all warped and literally disintegrated because of the winds and the flame and the whole thing. It was like a blowtorch. They were standing on this beautiful day, maybe a couple of days after. We gave it a little time because what they had suffered. Almost 25,000 homes. And you see what's happening now. They didn't give their permits. I went to a town hall meeting. I said, we're going to get you the federal permits, which are much harder. Almost immediately, Lee Zeldin is a star. He did an incredible job. They have all their federal permits. They don't have their city permits. And the mayor said to me, we think we could have them in 2 years. I was walking down the street, and I met with firemen and police. And I was saying hello to many people that were standing in front of their homes with yellow tape. You can't go in. You can't go onto the lot. And those people wanted to start rebuilding their homes then and there. And the mayor said, we should be able to get them the permits within 2 years. I said, that's a shame. 2 years? Are you kidding? I'm going to get them the federal permit like almost immediately. 2 years. And she drew it back. Well, maybe 1 year. The place was booing her out of the place. They don't have their permits to build their homes. And now they're talking about putting, this is among the most beautiful areas in the country. Now they're talking about putting low-income housing there. Can you believe this? I love low-income housing. I made money with low-income housing. I built low-income housing. I know more about low-income housing and luxury housing. I know about everything real estate. They want to replace some of those homes with low-income housing. They haven't gotten their permits yet. We've gotten all the federal permits, which are much tougher to get, and it was done almost immediately through Lee Zeldin and Federal Environmental. And I watched the other day, those people are angry. And now, they had they loved that area. They loved the whole big area, different places, but they loved it. It was all luxury stuff and beautiful stuff. And some wasn't that luxury, but the level of love for that neighborhood, their neighborhoods, was incredible. And you know what? I watched people on television, they want to go, they want to leave. They've lost their spirit, they've lost their heart, because the mayor's incompetent. And Gavin Newsom is incompetent. He's got a good line of bullshit, but that's about it. He's incompetent. And you have Los Angeles is, it's amazing. I called, the first thing I did, I got the Olympics to go there. I was the one that got it. And by a rare thing that happened, I'll be the president. I was very upset because I got the Olympics there, and I said, I won't be president when it comes. But bad things happened, and illegal things happened, really illegal things happened. Now it turns out one good thing was I'm going to be the president for the Olympics for 2050, for 250, which is going to be fantastic, and also for the World Cup. So we have a lot of good things, and I hope 250 is going to be the 250th anniversary is going to be the best. But when I looked at those people, and I saw last night on television that they still don't have their permits, it's a disgrace what's happened in Los Angeles.
Thank you. The China tariff deadline is tonight, but do you plan to extend that?
We'll see what happens. China's been, we've been dealing very nicely with China, as you probably have heard. They have tremendous tariffs that they're paying to the United States of America. And we'll see what happens. They've been dealing quite nicely. The relationship is very good with President Xi and myself.
President, you mentioned your upcoming meeting with President Putin. Can you tell us what you hope to get out of that and whether you'll consider inviting President Zelensky to join?
So you have to understand, this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. It would have never happened. It was the apple of his eye. I got along very well with President Putin. But if you look, under President Bush, they took a lot of territory. Under President Obama, they took a lot of territory. Under Biden, they essentially took the whole thing. It's just a question of time. Under Trump, you know what they took? Nothing. I was the one that said, you can't build your pipeline. That was half built. I came in, I stopped the pipeline. It's called called Nord Stream 2. Nobody knows that, Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You might have not even heard it. Biggest pipeline in the world. I stopped it. I was not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible, but that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did. Biden came in and he immediately approved the pipeline. I couldn't believe it. Then they say Trump wasn't tough on Russia. I wasn't tough. I was the toughest. Putin said, if you're not tough, I would hate like hell to see you visit. I stopped the biggest economic development job, the biggest job that Russia had ever built. I stopped it. It was dead. And this low IQ president came in and he let them build a pipeline and supply oil and gas all over Europe, So this is really a feel-out meeting a little bit. And President Putin invited me to get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I'd have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. I said, that's cold, but it's a violent war. 5,000 to 7,000 people a week are dying. And there's nobody from here. They're all Russian and Ukrainian people, and some people from the cities, much smaller number, but still, those missiles do damage and they kill a lot of people, but mostly soldiers. And they're young soldiers, although in the case of Ukraine, they're getting much older. They're drafting 60-year-olds now. It's a terrible thing to witness, and I think I have an obligation. Look, this is Joe Biden's war. This is not my war. I made a deal with NATO a month ago. You covered it very accurately, actually. We don't pay anything anymore. We're not paying anything. They are buying things from us, and NATO is paying us. I got it raised from 2% of GDP to 5%. And they're paying us for everything that we send. We're not paying. But Biden approved $350 billion. Europe has spent $100 billion. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened. We had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. And when the election was rigged, and then Biden took office, which was barely took office, the auto pen took office, bad things started happening. Bad things, stupid things were said. And it ended up in a war. And and I don't believe this will happen anymore because I have that pretty well covered. This could end up in a third world war. This could have been a third world war. I don't think that's going to happen now. But I thought it was very respectful that the president of Russia is coming to our country as opposed to us going to his country or even a third-party place. But I think we'll have constructive conversations. Then after that meeting, immediately, maybe as I'm flying out, maybe as I'm leaving the room, I'll be calling the European leaders who I get along with very well. And, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of them. And I get along with Zelensky, but, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need. But I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So there's good and there's bad. But it's very complex because you have lines that are very uneven, and there'll be some swapping, there'll be some changes in land, and the word that they will use is, they make changes. We're going to change the lines, the battle lines. Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine. But they've taken some very prime territory. They've taken largely ocean You know, in real estate, we call it oceanfront property. That's always the most valuable property. If you're in a lake, a river, or an ocean, it's always the best property. Well, Ukraine, a lot of people don't know that Ukraine was largely 1,000 miles of ocean. That's gone. Other than one small area, Odessa, it's a small area. There's just a little bit of water left. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the parameters are. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both. I think Russia has to get back into building their country. It's a massive country. I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. It's a massive, it's by far, from the standpoint of land, it's by far the largest. They have tremendous potential in Russia to do well. They're not doing well. Their economy is not doing well right now because it's been very well disturbed by this. It doesn't help when the President of the United States tells their largest or second largest oil buyer that we're putting a 50% tariff on you if you buy oil from Russia. That was a big blow. And then they say, gee, he wasn't so tough. Nobody else would have done that. And I haven't stopped there. I mean, look, I was all set to do things far bigger than that, but I got a call that they'd like to meet, and I'm going to see what they want to meet about. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that could be made for both parties. You know, it takes two to tango, right? So ultimately, I'll have a meeting next week. I had a great relationship with him, considering the fact that, I was not nice to him because of the pipeline. I ended the pipeline. I also gave the javelins. Do you ever hear of a javelin? Javelin is called a tank buster. They say that Obama gave them sheets and I gave them javelins. If it weren't for me, all those tanks that were destroyed at the first days of the war because the tanks got stuck in the mud, some commander made a better they would have been in Kiev in 4 hours going down the highway. But a Russian general made a brilliant decision to go through the farmland instead. And they just had torrential rains, and the rains were so bad, and it was mud, and those tanks got stuck in the mud. I don't know who that general is, but knowing Vladimir, he's probably not around any longer because all those tanks were stuck in the mud, and they went along with the javelins. I gave them the javelins. You know that, right? I gave them javelins. They gave them sheets. But I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind. And if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first. And then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting. Or I may say, we can make a deal. I will tell you this. I've seen a poll coming out of Ukraine. 88% of the people would like to see a deal made. And if you go back 3 years, everybody was gung-ho for war. Everybody's gung-ho for war until you have it. It's an amazing thing. I had it with a couple of countries where I couldn't get a deal done with one particular country. And I just couldn't. The guy's great. He's a friend of mine. Great. Good leader. Tough as hell. I couldn't get the deal done. And then he went into war for a short period of time. You know where I'm talking about. First term. And it was nasty. Guys being killed all over the place. And he went through 1 week of war, and I was able to get the deal done. He said, this is nasty. Yes, please.
Yeah, just to follow up on what you were saying there. First of all, Volodymyr Zelensky is not invited on Friday?
He wasn't a part of it. I would say he could go, but he's gone to a lot of meetings. He's been there for 3.5 years. Nothing happened.
And what is the definition?
I mean, do you want somebody that's been doing this for 3.5 years? What's the definition of a good deal? I'll tell you after I hear what the deal is. Because there could be many definitions. You're talking about a very large and complex situation. Now, I tell you, the war that I just settled with Azerbaijan and with, as you know, and Armenia was almost as complex as this one. having to do with route
Successful
trade.
meeting on Friday with Vladimir Putin.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be
How will you
made.
know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
Mr. President,
please, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask you two questions, one about China, one about Russia, if I could. On China, your administration agreed to send the most advanced or advanced NVIDIA and AMD chips.
No, obsolete. No.
Obsolete chip. Well, and then 15% of the
You mean
profits
the
come back.
20s? No. This is an old chip that China already has. And I deal with Jensen, who's a great guy, and NVIDIA. The chip that we're talking about, the H20, it's an old chip. China already has it in a different form, different name, but they have it. Or they have a combination of two will make up for it and even then some. Now, Jensen's a very brilliant guy, and Jensen also has a new chip, the Blackwell. Do you know what the Blackwell is? The Blackwell is super duper advanced. I wouldn't make a deal with that, although it's possible I'd make a deal, a somewhat enhanced in a negative way Blackwell. In other words, take 30% to 50% off of it. But that's the latest and the greatest in the world. Nobody has it. They won't have it for 5 years. But the H20 is obsolete. You know, it's one of those things. But it still has a market. So I said, listen, I want 20% if I'm going to approve this for you, for the country, for our country, for the U.S. I don't want it myself. You know, every time I say like 747, I want, yeah, for the Air Force. So I just wanted, so when I say I want 20, I want for the country. I only care about the country. I don't care about myself. And he said, would you make it 15? So we negotiate a little deal. So he's selling a essentially old chip that Huawei has a similar chip, a chip that does the same thing. And I said, good, if I'm going to give it to you, because they have they have a stopper, what we call a stopper, not allowed to do it. It's really known as a restrictive covenant. And I said, if I'm going to do that, I want you to pay us as a country something, because I'm giving you a release. I released them only from the H20. Now, on the Blackwell, I think he's coming to see me again about that. But that will be a unenhanced version of the big one. Like, I don't know if you know it, we will sometimes sell fighter jets to a country, and we'll give them 20% less than we have. Do you know what I mean, right? That's the same.
So on Russia, do you see a time, Mr. President, when there could be normal trade between the U.S. and Russia? Should your meeting go well? Should there be peace?
I do, yeah. Russia has a very valuable piece of land. If Vladimir Putin would go toward business instead of toward war, you know, it's a warring nation. That's what they do. They fight a lot of wars. A friend of mine said Russia's tough because they just keep on fighting. They beat Hitler, so did we. And they beat Napoleon. You know, they've been doing this for a long time. I asked a question to a very, very smart man that some people like and some people don't like. Viktor Orban, right? From Hungary, the head of Hungary. And he's in that same area and knows the two countries very well. I said, this was before Biden didn't do anything to get us out of it. He could have gotten us out of that. It would have never happened. I said, so can Russia be beaten by Ukraine? He looked at me like, what a stupid question. He said, Russia's a massive country, and they win their country and they win their life through wars. They fight wars. That's what they do. He said, China beats you with trade. Russia beats you with war. That was a very interesting statement. China's not beating us with trade, not when I'm in charge. But they were beating Biden with trade, but they never beat us with trade. Don't forget, China had to pay $400 billion worth of tariffs when I was last time. That was last time. And if we didn't have COVID, all of this stuff we would be loaded. We're finding hundreds of billions of dollars of cash is pouring into our country now because of tariffs. And all we're doing is we're doing what they do to us. It's so beautiful to see it. they found last month, as you saw, $25 billion of excess cash flow. They say, where did it come from? I said, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from a place called tariffs, and we're doing very well. We're really doing well. But I expect to have a meeting with Putin that I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. And I'm here for one reason, to get rid of a war that somebody else started. Should have never happened. And if I could end it, great. Complex war, a lot of bad blood, But Zelensky's been there for 3.5 years. So if you put him in a room, now I will say this, ultimately I'm going to put the two of them in a room. I'll be there or won't be there, and I think it'll get solved. Yeah, please be happy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Excuse me, I'm going to suggest, because do you have any other questions on DC? Because I don't want them to be. Wait. These are incredible people. I don't want them to be standing up here on subjects. Does anybody have a question of them? And then you guys can leave. Okay, a question. Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right.
And by the way, this is only on DC, and then they're going to leave because it's unfair to have them stand up here all day long.
I agree.
Brian.
I've got two questions for you. First, about DC. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun, got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt. Like, these kids go, they don't fear the police. They know it. If you talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars,
right.
Adult crimes deserve adult penalties. And my second question, I'll after you answer that, please.
You want me to answer it?
Whoever wants to take it.
Okay, it's real. Do you want me to answer it? Go ahead. Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, or even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed. As the president said, cashless bail. That has to be changed. All right, then even assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the DC Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. All of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want to wipe it out. So that needs all to be changed.
Okay, Mr. Question.
Pam, would you answer that also?
Yeah, and just back to that topic, let's be clear though, we're going to charge them and we're going to track every single thing they do throughout every step of the court process and report back to you and let all of you know what's happening to them, because the people who are prosecuting them, the judges who are trying them, they also need to be held accountable.
Mr. President, you also made the comment you walked out here. This is the most people we've ever seen in this briefing.
I've never seen
ever, right?
I've never seen any. Where's Caroline? Where's my superstar? Caroline. Is Caroline in the back? Where's Caroline? Come here, Caroline. Come here, Caroline. Come here. Is she doing a good job, by the way? Come here, Caroline. Is this the largest crowd that you've ever seen?
This is definitely the most packed briefing, and I think all of you would agree. I think it's why we need to build a ballroom.
Mr. President, I have a better idea.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
My question is this. You're building the big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah.
Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room, updated technology, more seats?
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. So no, I don't want to make life comfortable. So look. Let's just do this. Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I'm going with totally. I mean, we have a lot of talks. They're great people. They're great leaders, actually, and they want to get back. Honestly, as one of them said, I've OD'd on trying to settle Ukraine. They've OD'd, meaning they've overdosed on the settlement of Ukraine. Not a nice expression, but boy, is it accurate. They're tired of it. They want to get back to spending money on their countries. You know, Biden gave them $350 billion. Europe gave $100 billion. It should be much more than that. Shouldn't have been that kind of, they should have had equalization, but they didn't. But you know what? Still a lot of money. They want to get back to building their own countries. They really want it resolved. My relationship with the European leaders, as you saw, is extremely good. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Wait. And we're going to try. I'll be in touch with them. I have 5 of them call me. You think it's easy? There are a lot of European leaders, but they rely on me. Very much rely on me. If it wasn't for me, this thing would never get solved until the last person breathing is dead.
Would you talk to them before?
Mr. President. Yeah, I did. I'm talking to them right now. So I'm talking to the European leaders. I'll be talking to President Zelensky. I'm going to get everybody's ideas. I go into that thing fully loaded right up there, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I think one of 2 things is going to happen. It's going to be a good meeting, and we'll go a step further. We'll get it done. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly. Very quick. I'd like to see it immediately, but I'd like to see it very quickly. And we're going to be dealing with the European leaders, and we're going to be dealing with President Zelensky, and hopefully we're going to have a great success. As far as this, what we did today, and I think you were here for D.C. more so than even Russia, because Russia will be, you know, we have a couple of days to go, but the Russia is going to be very interesting. But to me, what is very exciting, and we're going to take back our capital. We're going to make it beautiful again, but we're going to make it, more importantly, safe again. It's going to be so safe. It's going to be a model. And then we'll look at other cities also. But other cities are studying what we're doing. And you have some capable people in other cities. They can do it too. But we have a great group of professionals. We're going to have a safe, beautiful capital, and it's going to happen very quickly. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
Should the Justice Department appeal the Epstein decision today, Mr. President?
How long will the takeover of D.C. police last?
We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have another
briefing. We'll see the National Guard on their streets.
All right, so she just told us she'll see us tomorrow, so tomorrow we're doing this again. But luckily, she probably does her stuff at 1 o'clock. But I told you, this is going to be the model for other cities. They are going to roll this out. Please do it in Baltimore. Please do it in Chicago, St. Louis, Los Angeles, Detroit. Roll it out. Clean up these cities. The mayors won't do it. The local people won't do it. They want this destruction. Oh, speaking of destruction, let me show you something. A couple different things with the nuts that are out there. Saw this. In order to see how ludicrous this is, you really have to stop and pause. All right, ready? Ready for this. D.C. is a safe city, except you can't attribute your name to your thoughts because it's so dangerous. So Washington Post actually put this in print. They actually posted this. This is a safe city. But overhearing and witnessing gang threats and then watching the camera of the footage of the thuggery is disturbing, said one resident, speaking on the condition of anonymity over concerns of, you guessed it, personal safety. They actually wrote that paragraph and posted it. A major media outlet posted the insanity that you're reading right there. This is a safe city. It's great. Except please don't use my name because the gang people might come and kill me. Said in that said safe city. You don't hate the media enough. Yeah, you really don't hate the media enough. I don't even know how you could type that. It's absolutely insane. But here's something that's even more obscene. There are people in Washington, D.C. who are having a hard time. They're afraid for their lives, as you see the person who couldn't even put their name out there. And this woman said this.
These people here in D.C., all these mothers, children been killed in the streets by juveniles, being carjacked by juveniles.
The 5 girls who attacked Reggie Brown were all tried and found responsible as juveniles. Currently under D.C. law, juvenile offenders can only be held until they're 21, so the girls will all get out within the next few years. Israel says she wants D.C. crime penalties to be tougher so that juveniles who commit murder can be held for life.
Why is it that these kids can get away with doing anything, all kinds of crimes, and we just give them a mere slap on the wrist? See, they know that. The gangs know that. The police know that. Shouldn't the government in these cities know that? Why are we having such a prevalence of gang violence across the country? Why do we have to read every weekend that 50 or 60 people were shot in Chicago? More than likely where you live, you don't wake up in the morning and go, hey, 50 people were shot over the weekend, honey. I'd move. I would get the hell out. Nobody wants to be around that crap. Nobody in this country says, you know what, I want to move to a high crime area. Can I do that? So if you don't want to live there, and I don't want to live there, why should people who are there be forced to deal with this stuff? Why have the Democrats allowed it? Because that's what they want. They want a scared population. They want a population that is surrounded by violence, because otherwise it's racist. It's, oh my God, it's racist. What am I going to do? Oh, we're just poor black peoples. We don't know what to do. We can't control ourselves. So much so. Look at this insanity. You're going to, I'm telling you, I didn't make this up. Just listen.
Great. The president has been trying to provoke violence here, right here, in the black communities and in the brown communities, having ICE kidnap our neighbors, having
I can pretty much tell you, there ain't no people in the black communities being taken off the street. She's full of crap. And the people behind her are full of crap. And the problem and the reason behind this is that they're making it a racial issue. Why do you want to live in crime? If Muriel Bowser's not going to do anything about it, if your police chief isn't going to do anything about it, what are you telling each other? Hey, listen, this is just how we are. We are a violent type of people. We will shoot you if we have to, and it's just how it is. And if you try to fix it, you're racist.
the black community be harassed and profiled and want a response. We say, hell no, we won't go.
Hell no, we won't go. We won't go. Hell no, we won't go.
When we say we...
Try him. You look like he's playing? Go ahead, try him. Hell no, we won't go. You want to bet? I'd love to put the odds on that in Vegas. I would love for Vegas to come up with some odds saying, hey, they're not going to go if they commit a crime. They said, hell no, we ain't going. Can we bet some money on this? Because I guarantee you, with Pete Hegseth and Cash Patel and Judge Jeanine, you're going. Yo, you're definitely going.
Don't go, that means we're not going into those mass incarceration, into their prisons and enslavement. We won't go into their ICE, what do you call?
Maybe you should have spent more time in the encampment called school and figured out some way to get away from the Ebonics and speak a little bit English before you get in a microphone. Wow. Wow, this is embarrassing. It's an absolute embarrassment.
Oh, his beautiful centers that he got. We won't go to where alligators live. Hell no, we won't go.
Oh, lady, you sounded ignorant. I'm sorry. I'm black, and I'm going to have to call you ignorant. I'm sure there's some black people in the chat here. They're going to have to call you ignorant. Hell no, I won't go where the alligators be at. You thought I made this up, didn't you?
Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go.
Today we gather to speak plainly about policy path that sounds strong, but in truth, it weakens the very safety we seek.
It weakens, my Ebonics translation might be a little bit rough here, it weakens the safety we seek. What safety have you been seeking? And up until today, the bad people have been running rampant throughout your city. So when have you been seeking this safety? Try to tell us, we don't understand. Why is your city in complete chaos? Why is Baltimore in complete chaos? Why is Cleveland, Detroit, fill in Blue City here? Why are they all in chaos? I come from Connecticut, from all the way back when I was in high school. Hartford, it's in chaos, gangs, craziness, drugs. Why is it always like that? And what safety is it that you seek? Because you've been seeking it for 50 or 60 years. You've been on a trek. I don't know, it's like Lord of the Rings. You guys would be Frodo, just headed out, just trying to find safety. And now one person who wants to give it to you, like, not that kind. You might want to put people in jail. Oh, you might put some Humvees and military people. Not that kind of safety. We can do it. We haven't done it in 50 years, but, can we start now?
I believe there is a better way to protect us all. One that respects rights, to build trust and keep our communities truly safe, and that is fascism free. Fear is not a roadmap to safety.
Wait. I think she was trying to say fascism free, but again, my ebonics, I'm not that well versed in it. My mom and dad put me in school, so I don't really understand some of the stuff she'd be saying, especially about being around alligators.
It is a burial. It fails hardest on the black communities that already we bear a disproportionate share of surveillance, stops, and forces.
You guys understand what the hell she just said? I'm sorry. Maybe you can put it in the chat, because this is where we need closed caption, because I don't know what she just said and I'm black. So y'all can help me out here, because damn, woman, and you're reading. Could you put it in a teleprompter so we can all understand what the hell you're saying?
I want to be clear. We've been here before. This is a long history.
Honey, you realize what you're saying right here? Do you realize you're putting the exclamation point on what President Trump just said? Oh, we've been here before. It's a long history. Unless she's talking about oppression. I didn't see the punchline yet. Is she skipping the criminal history and talking about the white man? It's a long history of that. Maybe that's what she's talking about. Let's get the payoff.
Well before today, the black communities bear the brunt of aggressive policing.
See, I stopped it too early. That's what she was going for. Long before today, we felt the brunt of the black people feel the policing or something. I have never, ever in my life seen such embarrassment right now. People are getting killed in your city. People are dealing drugs. Nobody wants to go there. They can't go downtown. And you says it's racist. Well, of all those charts they were handing out, how many of the charts said, here are the crimes that the white people are committing? Here are the crimes that the Asians are committing. Here are the crimes that, the Lithuanians are committing. Here are the crimes that the people from Tonga are committing. And let's see a chart with all those and then get to the black people. It's not racism, it's called reality. Now, if you could show me a chart and said, hey, 50% of these crimes are done by white people, then we got a problem. But right now, what you're saying is it's racist to clean up your town. By the way, clean up. Let's take the crime off the table right now. Okay, let's assume there's no crime. Why the hell does your city look like shit? Why you take a drink and just throw it? Why you act like complete savages? Why can't you fix up and take pride where you live? You took the time to come out to this protest. How about instead of arguing and screaming, you hand out some brooms and garbage bags and garbage cans and tell each one of these people go stand post and clean it up. It's amazing how you were all able to come together so quickly to protest police presence, but you can't get together and protest garbage presents. Why can't you get out there and go clean up your city on a Saturday, a Sunday, or a Monday? Wait a minute, it's Monday morning. wait a second, honey. It's Monday morning. Y'all people don't work? That's another question the media should say. Excuse me, I understand it's Monday at about 11 o'clock. And don't you, any of you, y'all got jobs? Any of you? A whole lot of people standing right there. Hey, excuse me, where do you work? Can you tell me? I'd just like to know, do you have the day off today? Did you take the day off to come protest about crime? They hope you don't recognize this. Because you sit back, wait a minute, it's not the weekend. Who are all these people? And where are they working? Or, like I said, hand them a broom.
And reports from many credible organizations show patterns. Black people are more likely to be stopped, searched, questioned, arrested, and harmed in encounters with the law. When we add the presence of federal agents or the National Guard to daily life in these neighborhoods, the burden can multiply. Not by making...
I've been black quite a while. And I can tell you the number of times as a young man, 15, 16, 17, that I was either pulled over or had a problem with the police. Once. 14, 15, and 16, we're in high school. Well, then again, I played football, so most of the cops knew who I was anyway. But the other thing these people were able to do, hey, your son's out there doing some knucklehead shit, they'd call my mom. Yes, where we lived, it wasn't a big city, but it wasn't a small city. But yet still, somebody's going to call. Yeah, Miss Cunningham, yeah, he acting the fool. Yeah, and then by the time he got home, oh, where you been? What time is it? You didn't have to have profiling by the cops. I had mom profiling. She come in, you been drinking? and you did this too. You when before you got home, you'd either stop at the 7-Eleven and maybe get some mouth drops or some scope or something. Well, that was the dead giveaway, because as a kid you weren't brushing your teeth at night, so if you came home with clean breath, she knew you was drinking. Yeah, that didn't work. And we just didn't fight. We were out having fun. I didn't own a gun. I didn't stick people up. Ask your kids, what the hell are they doing out at 1 o'clock in the morning and the stuff that they're doing? Nope, don't want to talk about that. You're going to pull over our kids. Yeah, I'm going to pull you over. You know what? I guarantee if my mom was alive and I put a microphone in front of her and said, hey, if I was out riding around at like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock with a bunch of numbskulls in the car, would you expect the police to pull me over? Yes. And I wouldn't care if one of your white friends was driving. Pull all of you knuckleheads over. What in the hell are you doing out at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning? You're 16. You're 17. There ain't nothing a 14, 15, 16, or 17-year-old kid is doing at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning that ain't got trouble involved. Every single one of you watching are thinking back, yeah, but I was 15, 16. I was, yeah. All we were doing is trying to get drunk, trying to get laid, and trying to figure out how we're going to explain it before we got home. Come on, be honest. Be honest. You were 15 and 16 and 17 at one time. How many of you were jacking people out of cars? How many people were jumping out of bushes and, robbing people? Yeah, and you would ride around with your friends in the car, and everybody's in the car, and didn't matter really what color you are. What in the hell are you people doing out here? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And see, I lived in Connecticut, and it made it worse because back then, everything, all the bars and stuff that you snuck into, all closed at 2 o'clock in the morning. So you had no reason to be driving around. Of course, they see a couple knuckleheads in the car who are underage, they're gonna whoop, whoop, whoop. Where the hell are you going? I want that in my neighborhood. See, that's the problem with many of these inner city people. I know where I live right now with Robin, if a couple, yahoos came creeping in the neighborhood here and somehow got through the gate or where the guard is and they snuck in, I want the cops to pull them over and go, what are you doing here? You live here? No. What the hell are you doing back here? The conditioning of what's happened in inner city is just completely wrong. I want cops patrolling my area. I want cops to know if something doesn't look right or shouldn't be here. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want, hey, listen, man, I don't think these kids are up to any good here. Yeah, I know him. Yeah. Jerome here likes to shoot people and stuff. How would you know that? Because he's done it. So yeah, profile the hell out of him. These are the same kids getting arrested over and over and over again. It's not somebody going to the library. It's not somebody coming home from the movies. You can look at them. What's up? What? What's up, man? Why you bothering me, man? I'm just out here. I'm just out in the street right now. I'm just being me. Back off.
Making harm more rare, but making it more visible and more likely to escalate. So be clear, this has been going on.
Stop. How many of you, when you were growing up, again, not as an adult, as 14, 15, 16, 17, were going to escalate something when a cop pulled you over? What were you taught by your parents should you run into a cop at 2 o'clock in the morning? If somehow you were still out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, you were told, shut up and pay attention and give respect. I know you were told it. I was told it. You were not said, hey man, why you bothering me? Yeah, I smell some weed up in here. You ain't smelling shit, yo. No, that's not how you talk to police back then. That's not what we were taught. It was, give me your license and registration. Yes, sir. Where you been? I was at Jimmy's house. We were hanging out. I didn't realize how late it was, sir. Where you heading? I'm heading home right now, sir. Is that hard? Seriously, is that hard? That's all you have to do. It won't escalate because you're not escalating it. So even what she's saying is an environmental problem. It is a cultural problem. And until that's fixed in the home, we are going to continue to see this stuff happening.
But as you bring more policemen, it's going to escalate. Black Washingtonians have long recognized that community violence cannot be solved through state violence and have asked for meaningful investments and solutions that are proven to work. Racist over-policing goes beyond D.C. As the roots of...
It has been proven not to work. Policing has been proven not to work only in your area. Pretty sure in most areas it works. Because people have the fear of ending up behind bars and spending the night and then having to deal with it in the next morning. The embarrassment. You go into jail, then you got to go home. And you got to tell mama you was in jail and deal with the ass whooping that would come along with it. But not to these people. Leave us alone. You can't control your neighborhoods. So everything you're saying makes absolutely no sense in addition to the ebonics coming out of your mouth.
Working policing in many regions like enslaved patrols. Police have been enslaving and murdering black people with freedom for punishment for centuries.
The big problem with what she's saying is that they tell the people in the neighborhood that to be true. Have there been murders by police? Absolutely. Is it widespread? Absolutely not. I'm pretty sure there were more people shot in Chicago this weekend than were shot by cops in the entirety of 2025 thus far. Prove me wrong. But they make it out to sound like an epidemic. But notice what she's doing. And it's something I've told you many, many times about my boss, the old boss, and who taught me very well. And sitting in his boardroom, he would just destroy people. Never bring me a problem. I never want to hear you bring me a problem unless you have a solution attached to it. So it's easy to stand in the street and bitch and moan and say it's racist. What's your solution? And that's a problem with the black community. They're very, very short on solutions. Leave us alone. Let this jungle be the jungle. We take care of ourselves. Obviously not. Obviously not. So what's the solution, honey? You going to get to that in the next 90 seconds?
I stand in front of you today with a signal to the residents of D.C. and the country that we will not be idle as oppressive structures try to harm our communities and take power.
I don't know what she just said. I think she said, I will not be idle. We've been idle for decades. If you don't want to be idle, do something about it in the home. I don't understand what you want. You're not giving a solution. You're talking about just protesting more. I will not be. I think she said idle. I could be wrong.
For black liberation and the liberation of all people will not stop no matter our oppression, intimidation, manipulation tactics. We have the right to demand respect, to protect ourselves and protect each other.
That is the problem in some of these communities. What she just said is completely the antithesis of truth. You can't demand respect from anybody. You can't stand up and tell people, I demand respect. Every single one of you and myself, we were taught what? You earn respect. You have to show me you're worthy of my respect. You just can't demand it. That right there is the problem. I was disrespected. Oh yeah, did you know him? No. Well, how did he disrespect you? Oh, he called me, by my first name. What's your name, right? Yeah, but I go by, City Boy. No, what's your name? My name is Jerome. Well, how were you disrespected? And I would say that to her there, you cannot demand respect. The more you demand respect, the less of it you get. It is not a negotiable item. I'm demanding respect. You can kiss my ass. You have to show me I should respect you. And that right there, she just said, is the problem in some of these communities. They feel entitled. Now, we may have some people here who feel differently, but you can never demand my respect. It's sort of like demanding love. You can't demand somebody to love you. You have to earn love. You have to earn respect. You have to show you're worthy of it. And I don't mean that from a racist or racial perspective. You have to earn respect. That's how societies run. Your presence doesn't afford you that kind of respect. I don't know you. I don't trust you. I've never met you. Don't know who you are, what your background is. You can't demand respect of me. It's mutual. I hope you guys understand that, because she doesn't.
And as the executive director of Hers Wildest Dreams, I want to name.
Okay, if you could tell me what she just said, I'll buy you a hat. I don't know what the hell she just said.
White people's civil rights have never been in danger because they are.
Okay, you lost me. Obviously, not once have you ever picked up a history book. White people's civil rights have never been in danger. And in fact, I guess you haven't been around the last 4, 5, 6 years either. You've lived in a hood. White people's civil rights have never been in danger. Okay, honey? There was this thing back in the 1920s when women couldn't vote, including white women, but never, their civil rights were never in danger. No, There have been probably, I would guess, quite a few white women who have been assaulted against their will. But those white women don't count because, those white women have never been in peril of losing their civil rights. Really? I can't walk down the street because something might happen to me? Some guy might see me in a skirt and go, yeah, I got to get me some of that. And take it? Well, that's pretty much infringing on someone's civil rights. And I could go on and on and on. and on. And you just offended half the people in this country saying, your civil rights have never been. What are you talking about? Ain't nothing happened to you. I'm like, are you kidding me? Whew, she thinks a lot of herself.
White. The white civil rights represents the desire from the Jim Crow. Full stop. At hers, Rod.
Somebody should have just taken the mic and turned it off because, lady, you're embarrassing yourself and nobody can take you seriously. And she's got 17 seconds left to tell me what the solution is to the crime if she doesn't want the president actually doing it.
Dreams, and as we support Free DC, we're fighting against mass incarceration, policing, ICE, violence towards immigrants and Muslims, violence in Palestine, worker exploitation.
I told you! I told you! She waited to the last 10 seconds, but she threw Palestine in there too. You can't take these people seriously. They mean absolutely nothing. They're vermin. They should be ignored. I knew it. I knew they would throw Palestine and Muslim. What in the hell does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Oh my God, should I not say that? Is that racist too? What the hell is she talking about? Palestine, Muslims.
Exploitation and more. We're fighting for freedom and safety for all people.
If I didn't show that to you, you wouldn't believe it. I had to show it to you because I'm like, oh no. Oh no. There's something wrong with these people. Number one, they put together this protest basically overnight. And when I say put together a protest, you know what's really funny? What's really funny is she was talking about white people. And as you look at this, I'm looking at this protest, and at the same protest that she is at, where she showed up to basically, say her crap, and about half the people there are white. This is the protest she was at. I'm like, I gotta show everybody this. I gotta show you because it probably won't show up anywhere on the news. But this is them. Matter of fact, the sad part about it, it's about 100 people. That's it. But that's it. Unreal. That's her right there in the middle with the hat on. They didn't show you the full view on the news. They didn't show you that the people holding the sign, one looks like she's Muslim and the rest are white people. What's she saying? Let's see. Let me see if I'll turn it up so you guys can get some more.
Who city? Our city. Who city? Our city. Who city? Our city. Who city? Our city. Free DC. Free DC.
You know what would make more sense if they went out at about, 2 a.m. and walked through the streets of some of the boroughs and places in Washington, D.C. and say free D.C. to the people who are actually putting D.C. under siege. But no, we won't do that because, they need to do what they want to do. They got to get theirs, right? But this free D.C. Like I said, overnight, they were able to put this together and be ready to come and protest what President Trump is doing and make no sense whatsoever. It's easy to protest there at, noon or whatever it is. Yeah, you didn't have any threat of violence or anything. Oh, let's hear what she's got to say. Who's this woman? Okay.
Protect home rule. Protect home rule. Protect home rule. All right, friends. Good morning.
I'm the Executive Director of Free DC, and we're here this morning because Trump is trying to take over DC. Right behind us, he's having a press conference, and he wants to assert more of his authority over DC, and we are here to say he can't have it. Stay with me. He can't have it. He can't have it. Trump can't have it. Trump can't have it. DC is our home. DC is our home. We are just some of the hundreds of thousands of people communities are joyful. We are powerful, as you can hear. We deserve dignity.
Yes!
We are multi-generational families. We are the hopeful future of our youth, our children, our babies. We are workers, we are neighbors, we are people of every age, every race, every ability, and every faith. And together, we work year over year for our shared future, including today. On behalf of DC communities, I'm here this morning to say that nothing Trump is doing right now is about our safety. That's right. If Trump cared about our safety, he would stop mass firings of federal workers.
If Trump cared about our safety, he'd stop firing mass federal workers. I won't. Listen, we've been here for 3 hours. I won't subject you people to this utter insanity. The left is bonkers. They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Oh my gosh. Ooh, wow. They can't even support safety. And even like the press, they try to infiltrate the safety by talking about the free Palestine and all this other stuff. You people are bat poop crazy. You demand respect? You don't even demand our attention. I don't want to pay any attention to you. Until you do your little protest about 2 o'clock in the morning in some of the worst areas of Washington, D.C., without any weapons, just go ahead and walk around, then let me know. Because everything else is just feckless BS. Now, guys, obviously it's 12:30 right now. We won't even be getting done here until 1 o'clock once we do Super Chats and the after party. So obviously, we're not going to be doing a 1 o'clock show. That's what I was telling you last week. I never know what President Trump is going to do. He decides to call a press conference at 10 o'clock, and we thought it was just going to be 30 minutes, boom, in and out. Nope. Much longer as usual. And then so there's no way we can do 1 o'clock. We will do the 7 o'clock show. It's crazy. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about. I can't wait to see what the media has to say. Freedom doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want. Yeah. My goodness. These people are lunatics. Yeah. And the problem is that most people won't see this. That's the bigger problem, is the media won't show this. The media won't show that these people are stark raving loons. And they're protesting and they don't even know what's happening. She goes, right now Trump's doing this. I don't well, how do you know what he's doing right now? They're protesting without even understanding what is about to happen. But good. Now you get, what my mom used to tell me, now let me give you something to cry for. Now you got something to cry for. All right, good. For DC to be free, it needs to be what it was meant to be, a capital without any social service or residence. Exactly. Prepare to defend yourself and your family. Stand your ground. Good point. Yeah, I mean, every day now you see Trump on full assault. As I've said, and you heard Greg Jarrett say earlier, he's flooding the zone. There's nothing for them to do. It's complete reaction. They don't have any initiatives, and they have no way to effect any initiatives. You're going to have to run away like the people did in Texas. There's nothing you can do that's positive. There's nothing you can do to help Americans. This isn't helping Americans, because if I lived in D.C., I'm like, well, what about people got shot last weekend? That's too bad for them. Mass incarceration, black people, racist, and all that kind of crap. Their babies are killing people. What uneducated people, how sickening. You know, it's weird because we're afar. We're looking in. And as we look into these neighborhoods in inner city Baltimore, Cleveland, Detroit, it's like looking at a zoo. And because all of us live our lives and we're like, it's not like that where I live. I go to sleep every single night knowing that we are secure. every single night. I don't even stay up late. I don't wait for any loud noises. I know it's secure. And so when I'm peering into these cities and I'm like, something's really wrong here. Don't you guys want to go to sleep knowing I don't have to wonder if someone's climbing in a window? I can go to sleep not realizing somebody's out there trying to steal my car. I can go to sleep knowing that if my daughter is out on a date, she's going to be able to make it home from the driveway to the house. Maybe we've become so comfortable we don't realize what life is like, and maybe they're so uncomfortable they don't know what life could be like. And I know that's kind of a paradoxical, but I'm like, yeah, we're very comfortable. We do what we want. It's nice here. We don't have to worry. And at the same time, they're comfortable in worry. They're comfortable in chaos. They've gotten comfortable over decades in chaos. That's just how we live. We clutch our pocketbooks very tight when we walk. We make sure there's nobody in the shadows. We're always looking over our shoulders. That's not living. Doesn't at some point you just want to just be able to walk down to the corner store and not worry about anything? I don't think they get it. I just don't think they get it. White people's civil rights have been trampled by the wokies throughout the abomination. Bingo! My no trespass. Where was that one? I know, yeah. My no trespassing sign says I knew Jesus. I also have a pew pew probably. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. TDS is alive and well. Yep, it's nice here too and safe. Imagine not living, maybe some people here do. Maybe they don't understand. If you've never, this woman here at the podium, when you look at her, you know what I mean, and you see what she looks like, you say to yourself, maybe she's never lived a comfortable life. Maybe she feels I'm a city dweller. I know how to handle myself. You should know how to handle yourself. I'm like, why? Why can't you go to a Broadway play and not worry about walking down an alley? Why is there some places you can't go? Who is determined that we shouldn't be able to go in certain places? They'll tell you. You go to New York and get a hotel in Times Square. Stay here. Don't go here. Don't go down this street. And they don't think twice about it. I'm like, 1 second. Well, why can't I just walk down the street? Take your jewelry off. Why? That's how they live. That's absolute. When Robin and I go out to dinner and she gets bejeweled and we walk, go, there's no concern of anything happening. I can't imagine not being comfortable in life, and they can't imagine being uncomfortable. It's part of living in the city. And so it's drastic because Trump says, I'm going to clean this up. You're going to be able to just walk and do whatever you want. You don't have to be afraid anymore. No, I'm not afraid. Yeah, you are. You just won't admit it. Maybe she doesn't know her hair dye has reacted to chlorine. And it's great. Oh my! It's a sad way. It's absolutely sad. All right, so let me do the super chats, and we've been here for 3 hours at this point. It's crazy. And my sincere hope is that each of you have a safe, comfortable place to live, and if that you're not feeling the rage of people if you walk down the street or go to a baseball game or anything. It's just unreal. All right, so let me read the super chats, and thank you guys for staying for 3 hours. My God, 3 hours. And President Trump just keeps working. All right, here we go. Nicholas Slamanicus, thank you very much for mentioning Baltimore. This was a beautiful, safe city when I was growing up. Just 41 miles from D.C. We deserve better. Absolutely. When my parents got divorced, my dad lived in D.C., so I spent a lot of time in Baltimore. And I spent a lot of time in Baltimore. My sister spent a lot of time in Baltimore. I absolutely loved the Inner Harbor. It was one of the most favorite things I could ever do on a weekend was go to the Inner Harbor. And then, don't go out at night. What do you mean? Don't go there. I mean, back in the day when Hammerjacks was there, and Hammerjacks was a big, huge rock and roll nightclub, and so I would go to that club and see bands and everything, and it was built underneath the highway. They tore it down because now that's where the new or not new, but that's where the stadium was built for the Ravens. Making Blankenship. I do like watching you when I can hear you. Yeah, sorry about that. Anna Maria Kelly. Barry David and I both retired in June and traveled quite a bit. Spent a month in the Dominican Republic. We would love to take you and Robin out for a nice dinner sometime when we're in your area. Oh, thank you. Would love to see you. DBI Donnelly Brickwork. Thank you. Wes Trueblood. Barry, why do you seem so anti-release of the Epstein files? I really like your analysis generally, but we disagree so much on this. People need to be held accountable. All right. You asked, I'm going to tell you. I am not anti-release of the Epstein files. Not at all. I 100% agree that each one of these women who have had, and kids who have had things done to them, should make sure their perps face accountability. I have no problem with that. In fact, I'm an advocate for it. Robin used to volunteer at shelters. I understand what these kids have gone through. My point with it is that at this time in the administration, it can't be a priority. There are so many other things right now that are higher priority that we need to accomplish. Those people who did those things to those children and or women or even young boys, yes, we are going to get to them. I'm pretty sure they will get to them. I would be upset if they weren't, but I just don't think it's something that we need to focus on today. That's the only difference. So you misread me. So if you think I'm anti-release of the Epstein files, I'm not anti-release of them. I'm saying somebody should be appointed to do the investigation and whatever you need to do to get things done and make sure these people are accountable, but it doesn't take priority over the other stuff that needs to happen. And if we disagree with that, I can't help you. But how I feel is what President Trump outlined in his agenda. And if you haven't read it, maybe you should go read it, because out of the 20-something things he said he was going to do, guess what wasn't on that list? We all know something happened, but it wasn't the priority. So I voted for somebody who gave me his platform, and his platform said, I'm going to do this, and this. And he's doing it. So that's the answer. Trail Seeker, happy Barry Monday, and everyone, thank you. BLS, Barry, what's ruined my last that's what ruined my last relationship. Her entitled, spoiled teenagers. I didn't do anything and left food everywhere in the garbage. Kent, Barry, trying to find membership sign up. I don't have a membership. Oh, well, if you the only membership we have, and if you'd like to join, I have an old banner I can put up here, but you can go to fanfareshop.org/group, and we're actually almost close to 18,000 fellow patriots in a group. It's a free X group, and you have to have X, but you can go there. Michael Butler, God bless President Trump on making our Capitol great again. Agreed. Jeff, 26, I have 8 generations of law enforcement in my family. He's going to uncuff the law enforcement and let them do their jobs, which is what he should be doing and what they should be doing. Making Blankenship, thank you. Tommy, Super Chats, great show, Barry and Mods. Thank you very much, Tommy. Hope you're feeling better. Macon, I hope the Trump administration is aware of the trouble these younger criminals are going to be and protect the prison guards. Yep. Judy Branch, thank you. Demon of Cybertron, I don't understand Jasmine Crockett ease. That woman was talking worse than Jasmine Crockett. Tamara, where the alligators be at? Right down the street in the pond. There's probably one there right now. Behind that preposition, school much? William Santos, Barry, as usual, your show always tells the truth of what's really going on. Thank you. Thank you very much. Jeff 26, my dad was a sheriff, so when I got in trouble on the street, it was him. And I got it worse at home. Tommy Ratcliffe, I lived in Mount View, California till 67. White neighborhood. My dad sold our corner home to Mr. Alexander. We moved 2 houses down. James became my best friend, and my dad got shit for it. I never knew different. Yep. Tinley, Free DC, more like Freedy's Freedy's nuts. Oh my God, that's too funny. Robert Barry, I'm frightened. Hold me. Chapo, looks like Soros ordered the Variety protest pack. It was on sale because he was running out of money with no USA ID. Exactly. What a paltry crew that was. William, they don't know what hockey pucks look like. No, they don't. And Juan Cerda, thank you very much. All right, everybody. By the way, like I said, we'll be here at 7 o'clock tonight. If you'd like to, I'm going to show you guys some of this stuff tonight. If you'd like to submit a video, I'm going to see if I can't get some cut. Go to fanfareshop.org/submit video, and I can put you on the show. Just to let you know, tonight at 7 o'clock, we're going to do, news. I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot. And then we'll do a jump over, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be able to show you guys Hillbilly Elegy tonight. That's a movie about J.D. Vance. So we're going to show Hillbilly Elegy on movie night tonight. So if you guys want to come enjoy the movie about our Vice President, I'd love to have you. Got a late super chat from David Yeoman. Thank you, DCGA. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in at a awesome press conference President Trump did. I've never seen anything like it. You could tell the press loves it. It was overflow traffic. They're unbelievable. But I think what we're about to see is a model move out that it's going to happen in other cities as well. Anyway, and it's needed. Take control of these cities. But I still think there's another thing coming. I don't know what it is, but I think another thing is coming. Hold on, let me just get a text. All right. So, anyway, thank you guys very much. We'll see you at 7 p.m.
Thank you.